evening to all of you joining us in this Marcia Week show. My. What a real joy and a real pleasure it is for us to have you back with us again on this Monday evening. And I have to say, Heather, welcome to the show tonight again. It's so nice to co host it with you. I couldn't have asked for a nicer co host.
Good
uh,
evening, Freddie. Good evening, everyone. A pleasant evening to all. I hope that you have had a wonderful day after all of the rainy weather and that
oh,
you've settled down
yes.
nicely. Things are going great. You had a nice day today and have taken the opportunity to now come to hear something to inspire your mind that you will act upon. So, welcome everyone to the show. We have 36 people who have joined us, and I want you to like the show and share it as widely as possible so that we can get up into the algorithm so that many more people will be able to see and hear us. Thank you.
Well, absolutely, Heather. I mean, I'm learning all about algorithms myself. I know so little about the only algorithm I think I know about was what I did years ago in mathematics. But I'm learning these things. Good night, Mr. Maximus and Mem 17. Nice to have you with us. Jefferson Sobers, Sonia 8K. Lovely. Uh, Let me get this right. Remy M 6070. Thank you for your loyalty. Just getting in there and encouraging persons to share. Really great to have you with us. Sherry Phillips, pleasure to have you. Natasha C, good evening. Tracy Barrow and Joy and Faith. As Heather said, share, share, share. We want to push these numbers up uh, past past 4,000, Heather. We want to get it
That
up
would be
into the
wonderful.
thousands. Yes.
That would be wonderful.
And Pamela Edwards, nice to have you. Yes, I did hear some of Kemar's presentation on brass tacks today. He did represent himself well. He did not back down, and that was really, really great to hear him stick to the point and challenge those individuals. And we'll be talking more about this water issue tonight. We're expecting Caswell to be with us, and Caswell gave us an eye opener yesterday, Heather, at the Parliament, at the opposition's Parliament in Baxter's Road, at the let me make sure I get it right, at the Westburn Mall yesterday evening, and I didn't know. I'm going to leave him to drop that bombshell again tonight that we
Yes,
were unaware
definitely.
of. Yes. And again to Glenn, good night to you, Glenn Griffith. I've known Glenn for so many years when he and my brother and his brother, both of his brothers actually used to be tight and involved in cars and doing all those kinds of things. I see Keith is in the house, and we'll be bringing him on in just a couple of minutes because I think we're going to have a nice, healthy, lengthy show with himself and Caswell dealing with water and any other matters that they care to engage, because we are dealing with the whole aspect of our indebtedness as well, and the number of loans that we're taking out, and a lot of the conditions, terms and conditions where these loans are not known. So it's so good to have all of you join Mystic Angel, Sugar Cane King. Good night. Oh my goodness.
That is
Yeah,
quite a name. Sugar
yes.
cane.
The moment I heard that, my mind went straight to two things: Brown Skin Girls and Frozen Joys.
Wow.
Those were my two favorite brands of sugar cane that used to grow in St. George and St. Joseph and St. Andrew. They were thick and they were juicy. When you suck, the water drain all down your mouth. I mean, the juice would drain all down your mouth. Dighton Brathwaite, good night to you. Great to have you listening in from New York. Welcome, welcome. Well, that's somewhere up by you, isn't it, Heather?
He said
In
he's
your
in
neck of
Jersey.
the
He's in New
woods,
Jersey.
Jersey.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wonderful. Thank you, Dighton, for
Oh,
taking the time to
no, he
be with
said
us
New York. He changed it. He said New
in
York
New York.
City.
Okay,
Your
right.
city.
Okay, good. Mr. B, good night. Good night to you. Good
And we
night.
have 112 people. That is wonderful.
Wonderful.
Keep
Marley
sharing.
Seeley.
Share
Yes,
in
yes,
groups. If you have groups, share in groups where people
yes.
can see us.
Is this something you can share, Heather, in what they call TikTok?
I am not aware. We would have probably have to do a video and upload it to
Okay,
TikTok so that people will be able
okay,
to see.
okay, great. All right. Well, I'm getting more and more acquainted with all this technology and learning to use it because I don't want to get left behind.
No,
Like a
absolutely not.
dinosaur.
Then people will take
Yes.
advantage of us if we let that happen.
Yes, and I'm not a senior citizen. I'm just a citizen. Um,
Good.
Good night to A787. That sounds like an aircraft. Wow, 787. Wonderful to have you with
And
us tonight.
another thing that we can also speak about if we have time
Hmm.
is over the weekend, yesterday, actually, there was a meeting for regarding the change of the parliament. I don't remember the name now, but it was
Parliamentary reform.
parliamentary reform, and it
Uh-huh.
was for persons in the diaspora. And then there was an article in the paper. Well, the news media reported what someone said, and he doesn't think that is a good idea. Peter Wickham doesn't think it's a good idea. But I live in the diaspora. I pay taxes in Barbados. I send remittances. I am still a
Mhm.
citizen of Barbados, and I see absolutely no reason why I cannot stay here and vote. Why would I have to fly, pay an additional cost of air travel to get to Barbados to vote when it can be easily done either online, go to a specific location, or any other medium, acceptable medium? And I think it should be done. It's time. But
That's
people
what you would
have,
call absentee ballots.
yes,
Well,
that can
that's done in the
happen.
United States.
It's done
What I
all
what I
over.
find what I find remarkable is that we keep talking about how we are a republic, but we still keep wanting to do things as if we are a colonial state. If
Exactly.
we're going to talk reform, if we're going to talk change, if we're going to talk republic, then let's overhaul the entire system. We're talking about overhauling our education, overhauling our finances, overhauling the national insurance. Why can't we talk about overhauling our entire governmental system where parliamentary persons are voted for, senators are voted for, prime minister is voted for? Why are we trying to stick to these old um, what vestiges of an
Of
old
people.
parliamentary type
Mhm.
of system? Thank God for the buildings that we have in Bridgetown, but we no longer should be functioning under a Westminster system. We should now design or embrace or modify a Republican system that suits being a republic. And I'm a little surprised that Peter Wickham would make that kind of a statement because it's amazing when the government wants support, they fly out to the diaspora. When you want people to come and fund,
Exactly.
fly out to the diaspora. And then when you get to the diaspora, you're going to tell them that they can't vote. Well,
They
they're still
can't
citizens of
vote.
Barbados. You know,
Exactly.
yeah,
That is
we have that
just
meant.
fair. It is
Yeah,
fair. And
and that. Go ahead,
one
go
other
ahead.
thing is that the people must have the ability to recall parliamentarians. This
Yes,
is what a true
yes,
democracy must be, especially
correct,
when there is
correct,
corruption. We must have that power.
correct.
And
Yes,
also the
yes.
power to pro- what is called propositions here in the US to get bills into parliament. Because
Hmm.
if we do not do that, we will never be any wiser. We should be able to get something from the people, directly from the people, pass in parliament. We must have that capability. I think the time is right for this. It's not as though it's years ago when many people were not educated. Times
Hmm.
have changed. Everyone has
Correct.
views. We don't necessarily have to have or be of the opinion, share the opinions that governments have. People have their own views, and We will not get them heard unless or pass unless it goes to a parliament. So things may never change in our favor. So that is one thing that we need.
Yeah, I really I support that whole aspect of and people will have a variation of their views on it, but I support the aspect of overseas voting because you have a Democratic Labour Party diaspora, you have a Barbados Labour Party diaspora. What's the point in having them and they
Exactly.
can't contribute to what happens in Barbados? They're still citizens of the country. They're paying taxes here and not paying necessarily just paying taxes in the U.S. where they are. And there are certain parameters today with security processes that you can put in place to ensure that those overseas votes are not abused. There's enough technology and technological
It is. It
wizards to
is.
secure processes that will safeguard that overseas perspective. And so, my view is that you talk about the whole thing of recall of parliaments. I think we should even be able to recall a government. And
You know,
I've said before that I believe one of the things that should be incorporated into the parliamentary reform is if the citizens are not satisfied by a majority of persons or a number of signatories, that they should be able to proposition the president to call an election. As it is right now, the only person who can call an election in Barbados is the prime minister. Listen, it is almost no point anybody talking about anything in terms of what's happening now because she can do whatever she wants, and I'm not going to be disrespectful to her. I respect her. I respect her as a woman. I respect her as a friend. I've known her for many many years, but there is a point where we agree to disagree, and that should not necessarily affect our friendship. But I've found in politics, if you don't agree, I suddenly become your enemy.
yeah,
And the reality of it is that we have different points of views, and
yes,
we want to be able to have the freedom to express those. Heather, I think you would agree with me without being threatened. Our jobs should
exactly,
not be threatened. People should be able to express themselves because in the midst of criticism, you can find answers to challenges that you need. So
exactly,
I'd like to see something put in place where a certain percentage of the electorate, if you can garnish enough signatures, should be able to present a resolution to the president and ask her
and
to call a general election.
one more area of that I think that we should have the diaspora is representation. I mean, we don't get representation. People have issues, and there is no specific measure or medium to take them to the politicians. There is none. We need representation too.
Yeah, yeah,
There are a lot of people who are still citizens of Barbados and they're not willing to give up their citizenship. Some may not like it, but if you can feel that you are due a certain amount of things because you are Barbadian and you're citizens of Barbados, the same is due to people in the diaspora,
yeah.
no
I,
matter
I,
where we are.
I observe that there's a comment made that there's no widespread paying of Bajan taxes by person in the diaspora. I don't
That's
know
not
that. To
true.
be honest, I can't comment on that. But my understanding is that that is not correct. There is
No,
significant paying of taxes, for the best of my knowledge. I, for one, during the time that the last 17 years traveling to Cayman Islands, the only I don't pay taxes on what I generate in Cayman because for a while I lived there, and I spend my funds and everything there. My expenses are there, but I am aware of the fact that if I were to return here and continue to work, of course, Cayman is a tax-free haven in terms of income and salaries. So, and I've logged my information, and I'm aware of people who are in the US. I don't think people in the Cayman Islands do so. I stand to be corrected, but I am made aware of the fact that there are a lot of people in the US that do pay taxes, and there are a lot of people that remit funds to Barbados.
exactly.
I
Remittances.
can't I can't even remember the millions of dollars that have
Yeah.
been remitted to Barbados from the US and the UK that go into the economy of this country.
Right.
So, if you're going to want us to do that, you're going to want us to invest into the country and all that kind of thing. Certainly,
Exactly.
provision should be made for Barbadians to song their voices who are overseas, um, in terms of voting. Yes, I see a comment made. Land tax is paid by the diasporans. That is true. Very, very true. Um, so,
Land and property, not only land if
yeah,
you own a
land and
house. For
property. Yes. Okay, okay. Well, it's so good to see our two of our friends relaxing in the back room, and we're going to bring them in. I don't know if they both want to come in. What do you think? What do you
yeah,
think,
why
Heather?
not?
We should bring them
Yeah,
both in
we
at
should
the
bring
same
both
time,
in.
and let's have a night with these two fine. I almost said these two fine young gentlemen, but I realize that one of the guys might not be as young as I think. So let's
He's young
let's
at heart. He is young at heart.
yes, he is
Forever
young at
young
heart.
at heart.
Let's welcome them in. I hope Kimar doesn't have too many problems tonight with his audio. Good evening, gentlemen,
Good
and
evening. I hope.
welcome.
Evening.
Good evening. I hope you're not calling Kimari old.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Because I consider
That's what
myself
he
among
thought,
the
you know.
young ones.
That's what he thought, you know. I thought he was
No,
saying that you were the young one, I was the old one.
not at all. I was saying there's some people who think they're young, but you don't think that you're young. But there's some others of us that would like to roll back the clock. But as Heather says, they're young at heart. I'm not going to call any names, but if you call the name, I'll whistle. So anyhow,
When I was a young man,
uh,
when I was a young boy, little boy running around the district and thing, all the old men who were 65 didn't have any teeth left. I got most of my, I only missing three. I'm a young boy.
yeah. No, no. Let me just make this response here. Somebody else makes a comment about call for local diaspora to vote in local elections. Emotions. No, this is not emotion. This is fact. We're calling for it, and you might not agree, but that's the reality of it. They they they
I'm one of
contribute
those.
to the economy.
I'm one of those who don't agree.
Yeah, that's fine.
The people who contribute to the economy, they send money for their family. Their families vote. I do not want a situation. Remember one time Sleepy Smith won by um one vote.
Yes,
You
I
remember?
do.
And we will have a person sitting somewhere in the diaspora, England, Canada, United States, wherever,
Yes,
influencing the
yeah.
election. Because we are small. We are very small. We got some constituencies got 6,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you get 3,000 people voting. Now, these people will live in these states, all good intentions, but they can come and vote for their party, and then they're going to sit down and live comfortably in the United States. And then the government that they put in place can rule us. And like for instance, if we had people voting in the diaspora in this last election and this government had come out, I'd be cursing them every day because I would say that this is what they put us in. You understand? If you want to vote for people, come. If you want the government, want to vote for the government, come and live here. I don't mind you contributing to your family,
No.
paying taxes because you own the property here. If you don't want to pay taxes on your property, then the government will take it up and sell it to somebody else. So you got to pay the taxes. That land tax is not um, contributing to the economy that give you the right to vote and all kind of stuff. Vote in the United States. Vote wherever you are. Vote in local elections out there, but leave the people who will suffer. Because right now we are suffering under this government. And I can
But you
assure you that if you had voted for this administration, like most of the people who voted for it now would be out there so saying, "Could I don't know what they're doing. I didn't want Fernando, but could they're Fernando better than these people?" I hear a lot of that now. You know?
Well,
Caswell, let me jump in here a minute. The reverse is quite possible too.
Yes.
Where they can
exactly.
vote
It
on a government
is.
is very beneficial, and I don't think that we should deny a person who is a citizen of the country living overseas. They have not traded their citizenship. They have not relinquished their citizenship to Barbados and become North American people. You have Americans who are living here in the Caribbean for years, who have not given up their U.S. citizenship, who vote in the U.S. for
And they
elections. So
vote.
it could go either
It
way.
goes both
And keep
ways.
in mind,
And those
hold
million
on,
votes don't sell a thing in the election out
hold
there.
on, hold on. Take another view of this. During the election, which the prime minister called um, during the pandemic, there were thousands of people who could not get out to vote, and they were denied. They were denied, and Glenn makes that point. I was actually thinking about it, so thank you, Glenn, for putting that there. Were prevented from voting in the last elections, and so the question is, will voters from the diaspora be accommodated or barred? I remember distinctly the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, because he called elections just a few months before Barbados, and he made provision for people who were quarantined and in lockdown, for whatever the state of their contraction was. He made provision for them to vote. It was not done in Barbados, and I take the
Deliberately
point
so.
that you said. I take the point that you said because I remember in a couple of the St. Peter elections, I don't remember the name of the politicians now, but you might recall them better than I would. Caswell, where the votes were the representation was decided by a couple of votes. I think it actually had to go to the courts or something like that.
Sibilicop
Sybil
beat one
Leacock,
after by one
right?
vote,
One vote,
and
right? So
then but there were so many errors that the court said, there's so many errors that those errors that some spoiled ballots and stuff that shouldn't have been spoiled, they could have affected the election one way or the other. So the
yes,
court ruled that
yes.
the election was null and void and had to be gone over. And that was it. Then one after then emerged after that. But Sibilicop spent one day in Parliament.
Hmm, hmm. Yes, so I mean, I am mindful of there'll be a variation, that, and Heather, this is the wonderful thing about a democracy. In a democracy, you have the right to express what you think about a matter, even when you have people who don't agree. And as we used to say, you agree to disagree agreeably. And so there will be those who will be for it and those who will be against it. And I think at the end of the day, we need to look at the motivation. We need to look at the aspect of the contributions, not just in terms of their remittances, but in terms of their. You have the prime minister and members of opposition parties and whatnot traveling overseas to garnish the support for a number of different things. So why shouldn't those persons be given the opportunity? But nevertheless, um,
You see what happened here? In the opposition, we agree to disagree.
yeah,
But
exactly.
there is no such thing happening in the government.
No, no,
All right?
no, and that's
Because
the problem.
that is the
That is
major
the
problem in
problem.
Barbados.
That is the
Because
problem.
if you go to the house and you're a member of a political party and you disagree with what the government is doing, now you are in trouble. You gotta go resign from the party and become a independent person, or shut up and vote your conscience, or rather not vote your conscience, because what they do, they go outside. I remember in the 8% case. Remember the voting when they were cutting severance, they were cutting unemployment benefits and all that kind of stuff. The head of the Barbados Workers Union was a member of the House. That debate, he was at the House, but when it came time for voting, he was nowhere there. He was at the CCL signing checks. I saw him myself because the CCL offices were at in UPW headquarters, and he chose to go and sign checks that could have been done anything, or he could even send the messenger down to bring the checks and let you sign them. No, but he made himself absent. Why? Because he wanted to stay within his party, and so rather than say, well, vote against the government, because any trade unionist should have voted against those impositions. But he didn't vote against them. He absented himself. That's what they do. They go outside. They say they go in the bathroom when the vote being called, so that if there's a divide, and most of them not, well, they don't have very many divisions now because everybody can be voting for it when this government, because all of them in power, they got all 30 seats. But I always used to call for divide when it was in the Senate, even though I know that it's only my one. I called for divide because I wanted on the record who voted for it.
Yeah,
So
but you make a very valid point here concerning this opposition. And I think this is one of the things that we need to embrace, because this would be a new trend in terms of politics. I mean, we know one another here very well, and I can assure you that the differences of opinion are not going to change the relationships that we have on this platform. And I'm grateful, because what you said is so very true. And that is why I say, we have to change the mentality of politics in Barbados. It's almost demanded that we do this. And if we do it, it's going to call for some radical changes in
Absolutely.
in terms of how we do politics and how we deal with the people's business. It is, we either take it seriously that it's by the people, of the people, for the people, or we get back to what we had before we became a republic and let the old status quo remain. If we're going to change, let's overhaul everything. Let's get rid of the old political system. Let's reform our judicial system, where the prime minister cannot appoint judges. Let's have the prime minister nominate them and let them go before the Senate or whatever it is. Let senators be elected, let parliamentarians be elected, let the prime minister be elected, if we are going to take our Republican position seriously. Otherwise, we are calling ourselves a republic, but we're still operating with the same old status quo when it comes to the procedures. And I am not going to be a part of that farce, if you want to call it that. That's a farce that isn't taken seriously. But listen, Caswell,
It's
we want to
here.
we want to jump in, Kimar and Caswell, to this water matter, because clearly we must have stepped on somebody's corns last night.
Absolutely.
Um, I
I,
I I don't know. I Somebody sent me a flyer. If I get to pull it up tonight, I'm going to put it up. But the flyer said something about. Let me see if I could find it really, really quickly. The flyer said something about we what. Um, Let me make sure I get this right. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. It says something about we heard, we listened, or something like that. And okay, Christchurch speaks. We listen, we act, we report. Um, I have been calling, and I will call. Christchurch speaks, St. Joseph speaks, and all these speaks. It's a Barbados Labour Party constituency meeting. It is not a constituency meeting for the constituents, because here's how it's advertised. Please join Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley and your MP for Christchurch West, your MP for Christchurch South, your MP for Christchurch East, your MP for Christchurch East Central, and your MP for Christchurch West Central. That sounds to me like a constituency meeting. That does not sound to me like Christchurch speaks.
but for the one other thing I want to tell you about this peaks thing, a young lady came to our first roadside parliament, and she said that she went there at the St. James one, and they asked her what question she was going to ask, and then rule out that question. So the questions, they were not spontaneous. They were not. They wanted to know up front what the question was. So the prime minister, there's a pretending to hearing the questions for the first time and feigning outrage or whatever else she's feigning. It is bad, sure, theatrics. Because if I want to ask you a question, look, we had at the Royal Parliament, I didn't know any of the questions that were coming. And I don't know. I'm certain you didn't, and I'm certain Kimar didn't either.
Nope,
We didn't
nope,
know we didn't know the
nope.
questions. We answered them. The prime minister will not subject herself to that. That is what makes the whole speaks thing a mockery. Because and they tell you, and they first they give you a ticket when you can question, when you can ask the question. You get number 7, you get number 6, you get number 5, and if they don't let your question, they don't call you.
Wow.
So wait, you mean they get to view the questions before they're asked?
You have to tell somebody what the question that you're going to ask is
No.
before, or not. They will say, "Ah, not relevant for us here. You can't have that here," and dismiss the person. The young lady who did that, who told me that, said she went and she tried, and they denied her.
So that's transparency.
But they're fooling the people, though.
That's transparency. You see, transparency is when you vet the questions and decide what you and I hope you're picking up the sarcasm in my voice. That is what transparency is for them.
Hmm.
Transparency really is when you don't know what coming and you can answer it. And you answer it. You know, a person who tells the truth don't have to remember what to say, you know.
You
That
know,
is
Freddie,
true.
I'll tell you something, though. You know, I was a political operative for a long time, and I have arranged sessions for question and answer for people. And I'll tell you, that's how it works. Even reporters, you get a reporter that is favorable, and you give that reporter some questions that you want asked so that the politician would answer them and look good. That is how they had something on the CBC TV. Um, it used to come on Sundays. I remember the name now. Where the ministers used to um, answer questions. What's it called, man? Could they
I
have,
don't I don't
Meet
recall,
the
but
press.
I don't
not meet
recall
the
the
press? No,
name.
it is
I don't recall the name, but I
it used
know
to
what you're
come Sunday
talking about.
evenings after the news, and people would ask the ministers questions. That was my brainchild. I remember they had some sessions. This is early in after administration, where they went to meet the people, and the people, people didn't turn up, and some um, asked
That's
questions that were
people's
uncomfortable.
business.
People's
People's,
business.
People's
People's
business.
yes.
Thanks,
business.
Natasha.
And I at the National Council, I said, but the one at Spray Memorial, of all places, Spray Memorial was a farce. And when we were doing the postmortem, I said, serve you right, because you have a captive audience with CBC. If you ain't got MCTV, you will go watch the CBC TV or turn it off. And what you should have done is to report to the people. All you have to do is to get a few reporters that were favorable to you and let them ask the questions and give them the questions to ask. And that is what that's how the people's business started. That is how politicians do it. But people believe that the premise is out there. Think, no, it is always staged. It is nothing new.
Well,
You
you know,
know,
when I watch it, when I watch it, the press with the president of the United States on any side, whether it is Clinton, Trump, Biden, whoever, I do know that there are sometimes that because you know they tend to pick who they ask questions and they tend to try to avoid the ones that will be under their skin, so to speak. But the question comes from somebody else who they would not have expected it to come from, who to pick. You see, the problem here is, Caswell, that, and I don't understand, people in leadership need to understand that if people are critical of you, stop criticizing those who are critical. Listen to the criticism because it is in that that you can often either develop better policies or correct course or something of that sort because you are not the only person who knows everything. You know, in this water matter, I am sure that there are people who may not have degrees, who do not have maybe even a university education or even secondary school education. My dad used to work on with the Ministry of Transport and works and repair roads. And if he was alive today to see how they were repair roads, he would, as you people say, he would roll in his grave. And he did not go to college or anything like that. But he was a part of a group of people that did some of the best roads down in St. Andrew that to this day have not washed away and have not been eroded by land slippage or anything of the sort because they knew. And for example, Caswell, look at the houses that the old people built. You ever look at that roof, that 45-degree angle roof called the
yeah,
roof?
the wind hits it and divert as opposed
Do
to,
you look at the roofs that are built today by engineers nearly flat? And you
yeah,
got to put on a ton of hurricane straps. What did the
they're
old
just a
people know?
wing. They become wings
They
because
become
they fly.
wings. you see. But the old people knew they didn't have any degrees, they didn't have all of the education, but they knew that 45-degree angle in that roof would keep it from blowing off.
Like, you see, a lot of things that we learn from the people who, or people forget. And like, I'll give an example, just by the way. When you see the old plantation houses, every one of them had crotons around them.
Yes, they did. I remember that.
You know why?
No, sir, I don't.
To prevent the soil from washing away?
No.
Wow.
I don't know why
Termites love crotons. So they will eat the crotons and leave the house.
Okay.
Really? Well,
Yeah,
I wish
I saw that
in
in
this house
I saw that in the old one of the, is that Ligon or one of those people who had it in the book. I have the old history written in Old English, but that's what it was for. The crotons, the turtle,
Didn't know
that has
that.
sweet tooth for crotons. So the crotons would part a little bit from the house, and the termites will go and eat the crotons and leave the house alone. Now we have all kind of termite companies pumping all kind of pesticides in our water as well, because it ends up in the aquifer, just like the E. coli will, you know. But that is the thing. We do not learn from the old people. The old people used to build the roads with big rocks. Used to put big rocks. They got to run and put some big rocks there, and then put the marl on top of the big rocks. Now we put bare marl, and as soon as the rain comes, because the water will run through the big rocks. But there's nothing for them to run through when the marl is there. So eventually the water undermines it and pushes all the way up. Look out there in Sandy Lane Bottom. That road was built years ago for rocks from up in St. Thomas and in Bagatelle. And that road's still there. And nobody had to fix it since. That is almost as old as me. Because it was built and fellas used to use sledgehammers and pounding those rocks. And now we go and put a lot of marl. But you know, these roads are built to mash up quickly so that you can get another contract to fix them again. And but when MTW built them, they weren't built for the first to get another contract. So the whole thing is a bunch of corruption and nastiness anyhow.
Well, you know, I'll tell you the truth. Caswell, I don't know. We borrowed, and Kimar, you can jump in anytime you want, because we just having a discussion tonight, and we're going to touch on a number of subjects, but we want to get to the water. But we borrow some $200 and something million shortly after the first general election to repair roads in Barbados, and then followed up with another $300 and something million loan from the Chinese, I think it was, for road repairs in Barbados. Didn't we do that?
Yes, we did. Yes, they did.
I
Yes, they
stand
did.
to be corrected. That's
Chinese
$500 million,
control.
right? That's $500 million. And I can hardly, and I don't care what anybody tells me, I can hardly hear anything about road repairs. And so when we get all this water, and somebody talked about the water earlier, so we're gonna drop into this casual. Somebody, as a matter of fact, I have a clip to play that was sent to me, and maybe as an introduction, I can play this clip, Heather, that was sent to me. All right, let me just see if I can find it and pull it up. All right, let me make sure I get it, because I want to share it right. Let me see how to do this again. And we can use this clip as an introduction, Kimar and Caswell, to the water matter. All right, we can use this clip, and you can just confirm to me whether you are hearing it or not. Okay, so here we go.
All right, beautiful people, your friendly don't smile here, boy. Here, listen to the blast start. They're talking about we gonna get some water now from sewage. The way how Barbados said the monk of rain that fall the other day and wash me to rag it out. You wouldn't really think that we need to get water from sewage? All they got to do is trap that water. There's let too much water waste. There's let too much water run back into the sea. We don't need the water from the rag it sewage. And they also got option of using getting water from the sea, which is desalination plant. I don't care what expensive a desalination plant is. I prefer drinking water from a desalination plant because it's coming from the sea, and you know it support the sea. And the sea is clean itself. See, that's what we say. You can imagine you drinking water knowing in your mind that comes so you can't get a drink. Oh, tell me how you get a drink. I know you can't get a drink. I know what. So I just think about this sewage water thing. I don't like that idea at all. They need to do more. They need to do something else different. You see that sewage thing? That's sewage thing for me at all. So I know it's a debate, but I prefer this desalination process. I prefer seawater. I drink any amount of seawater anytime before I drink sticky sewage water. You know all the treatment I'm talking about. That's the only way I'm saying. But anyhow, I done with that. When I can discuss any comments, so let me let them see here we're going. A woman to think about this whole situation.
We need more of him.
Boy, I tell you, that is straight talk.
Yep.
That is straight talk. So, gentlemen, let's get into this water matter.
But before we
Kimar.
do that, I don't see my WhatsApp message for the first time today, and I realized. No, I hear this guy talking. I say somebody said that Kimar was calling the two doctors today. But you know, I just saw my WhatsApp messages, and the David was sending to me, asked me if I got a number for you. So they were hunting for you, Kimar.
For who?
At 11:31, I got this message. I
number
know
for who?
seeing it.
A number for me?
So not for Kimar.
Or for Kimar?
Yeah,
no,
you know.
Kimar. Listen, Kimar was on, and I thought he did a splendid job standing up for what he believed, and that is reality. There are a number of questions that in my mind they couldn't answer. I recognized the reality of what they were speaking about. We understand that, but when it came to this matter that you revealed last night, from the repurposing, or I think it was what you called it, of this bill that was passed, and the different references to the different types of water. Would you two gentlemen please engage us with those aspects? Either one of you can jump in and go first. It doesn't matter.
I let the other young fella go first.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah. So today was a good day on the program. I mean, I received the WhatsApp from the moderator. He went on to the program, but I was kind of wondering how come he chose me. You know, he didn't go for Caswell. So my my opinion there, I said, well, okay. I didn't know who was on the panel. I didn't know anything what was happening. So when I got in there, I realized I was sitting on a program with the same John Mawanza, who is a technical advisor to the government at the Barbados Water Authority. I can't remember his name, but this guy was the chief of the meteorological office, and then
Sabu.
there was the
Best.
deputy chief environmental officer, Ronald Chapman. Right? It was an interesting conversation because they tried to convince me, along with the public of Barbados, that drinking sewage water is better than the water we have now. I could not believe that I was listening to three learned people who would come to the public and say to us that why are you fussing? You're already drinking recycled water, and the process that we're going to put the water through is going to be 10 times better than what you have now. And I'm like, on nowhere on God's earth can drinking sewage water any shape, fashion, or form. I don't care how much test you put it under. I would never, ever, ever, ever agree with nobody to say that drinking sewage water could be better than the water we have now. This thing got so bad that this guy, John Mwanza, he doesn't even recognize what he said. I quoted from him from a Barbados Today article, his words, And his response to me was that, well, I'm not sure where the gentleman is getting his information and numbers from. I read from him. Right? I read from him. Those were his numbers. And he confirmed today that Moscow was incorrect in his numbers. So that's a whole nother conversation that we have to have because he denied that they were making $18 million a month. So there's a conundrum now that Moscow has to come and correct the record for the public to say if he did make a mistake or not, because apparently John Mwanza, who's not the CEO or the boss of the Water Authority, who's a technical advisor, a consultant hired by a minister, he can have the numbers in a more effective way than the government's chief economic advisor. What does that say to you?
But didn't
Right?
he say? Didn't he say that the chief economic advisor misspoke?
Yes, that's what he said, that Moscow made an error and the Swiss tax never made that much. So we don't
So
know who to
how much
believe.
how much
We
did
don't
it
know.
make then? He should then tell you how much it made.
Yeah, he did. He said it made
He
around
said
$18 million a month. Isn't that what he said,
he
Kimar?
said it was between 12 to 15, no more than 20 million, approximately between 10 and 20. It didn't go past that, right? He said that. So we have an economist.
Maskell
uh,
was
uh,
reading I heard the exchange with you and Maskell. And Maskell said he can do something to you with these numbers. Now, I can't remember what he said.
torture with data. I can torture you with data.
Yeah, he can torture with data. And he was reading from something. Because he didn't have those numbers in his head. He was reading from something. So I don't know. I don't believe Maskell. But no, they don't want us to believe Maskell. But the problem there is that the money should have gone into the consolidated fund and the accountant general will be able to tell you what money we get. But no, it had to be hidden. So for exactly what is happening now. So nobody can tell you what really is going on.
Good. So again, we don't have to believe a studied economist, the government chief economic advisor, or have to believe the technical consultant, a man specializing in water resources, about how much is Swiss tax really making in this country. That's what we have to deal with, right? On top of that, I presented evidence at the Rosai Parliament that the European Investment Bank
Yeah, I heard
provided
that.
funding.
Uh,
Andrew John Mwanza came and said no such thing ever happened.
that's right. I heard him say that.
And I forward the article to David Ellis. Well, only thing I went back and I tried to correct the record. You know, I was kind of chased around on the program because I didn't get to finish all of my points before being interrupted, right? But how can he deny that? So I put the proof there to show that Mwanza, and I said already, Mwanza, you're not being truthful. That is not accurate information. Right? The European Investment Bank gave this country money. And I even quoted the same ones again and saying that the government of Barbados was in negotiations with the Chinese Exim Bank for a loan to fix that sewage. And the man denied it and said no. And I sent all the articles to develop to show that Mwanza was not telling the truth.
You see, Kimari must remember that they were sent, and they were sent with a mission. I heard you say that Chapman was there too. Ron Chapman, chief or
Yes,
deputy chief
yes.
environmental
And
officer.
he was agreeing with everything they said.
No, he has to agree with it because this is the man. I have him before the Employment Rights Tribunal now because he owns a company that competes with the environmental department that he is working in, and he has his own company, have his staff go out there, and sometimes during the day he's out there treating people roofs, treating people foundation, all kind of stuff, while he should be at work. And the government well knows it, and nobody is doing anything about it. I have him before the tribunal for firing a man from his company unlawfully, and you have to be working for more than a year so before you can go to tribunal. So you know this thing was not just happening. So when they go there, you got to understand that they went there because they have to go or not. We got something over you. But I don't expose what I got over him because he runs at times runs the environmental section, and then he also runs his own company doing the same work. As a matter of fact, there was one at the hospital where the hospital had bugs. Can't remember, I think Johnny Puzzles or something, and his people, his staff, went in, diagnosed the problem, all kinds of stuff, what to do, and his company ended up doing it. So don't worry about them. You don't let them discourage you. They got skeletons. You ain't
Yeah,
got none.
but that's when I started to reference what you brought to the table in terms of the Water Reuse Act. and it was like a nice, cool night here in a quiet neighborhood. You could hear the crickets coming through the room
Yeah, we
because
can hear
nobody
them
wanted to
now.
speak. Nobody wanted to speak. You could hear the nice
Yeah, we can hear
smoke.
them. Lovely, man. Lovely.
Nobody wanted. Yes. Nobody wanted to speak. Nobody wanted to speak to that black water, grey water issue and what makes up domestic water. And I threw that at them twice. I couldn't get a response. But what the moderator was suggesting, right? Oh, good. Adrian said here that Chapman said that potable
Chapman
water is
said,
not
yeah,
for drinking.
potable.
It is
No,
water you
no,
put in the pot. And they denied.
Kumar, sorry.
But
Make that pronunciation clear because some people might think we're talking about portable water. It's potable water.
mhm.
And
Potable
define
water.
that. Yeah, define that for us before you go on. What is potable water?
Potable water is water that is for drinking. Really. Non-potable water is the one that you can't drink or you're not supposed to drink. Right? So he was suggesting to the people, the Jim Chapman, that we could. I won't remember exactly what he said. Right? I can't. I won't give you specifics of what Chapman said, but it's not coming back to mind. I can tell you when I remember. Right?
Mhm.
But I wanted to go back onto what the whole panel or the other guys were saying. Really, they were trying to push a narrative that Barbados is water scarce and we can need the water, and hooking us onto the sewage plant will help to build back the aquifers, and that we already do it already, so don't be alarmed. No, the challenge I have with that is that I never knew that it was happening. I'm sure many other Barbadians did not know that this was happening. So to tell the people that you should not be angry because it was happening all along, that's an indictment on the government, a serious one, right? And I say to David Ellis that I hear Mawaza speak, but Mawaza could be heard and fired by a minister I drop over him, right? So Mawaza is expected to say things because he is not a civil servant. He's on a contract, right? These other persons are trying to Fox this whole thing about, and this comes back to this climate agenda that we spoke about,
Yeah.
water scarcity, trying to force a water crisis on Barbados, and saying to the public that pretend you don't see all the wastewater flowing from the rain, pretend that you don't see all the desalination plants. And Mwaza even went on to say that the desalination process is just as bad as the sewage process. So it ain't really no difference. As the fellow there on the clip said, I'd rather drink the seawater than the sewage water. Like, but they're not giving us the option. They're just dumping the water, the sewage, mixing the sewage into your water, extracting it. When I ask them if they have the capabilities to do this job, the deputy environmental officer answered me. He answered me, right? I do not believe we have the infrastructure to do it because that is why our deputy prime minister, Santia, who's the minister for water resources, left Barbados to head to the Netherlands to get advice on them on how to do the same exact thing that they're doing to us right now, right? So they played with our mind. They passed the water reuse act in May, and then by August, early August, he was down in Europe. And you keep seeing Europe coming up all the time. You keep seeing Europe coming up all the time. See, he went to Europe, and the Europeans are the ones who are providing the investment for Barbados to build these tertiary level treatment plants because most of the tertiary level treatment plants are in Europe anyway, all across the European countries, and that specific bank is the one who specializes in that particular technology. And that one Mwanza denied that Barbados ever did it. So this is the problem that I have. Wilfred Abrams, he had the move to come on the parliament and say straight to the people that are always drinking toilet water. So cowardly is he that he could be sending David Ellis a WhatsApp, and David Ellis is saying, well, we have a comment here from the minister who will made the reference to the drinking. So he didn't even call in. They sent me a person who's interested. Oh, I ain't a scientist. I ain't a doctor, right? I, I am not any technical man on what they're technical at, right? I was asking strategic questions to find out about the well-being of the people who drink this water. So when I asked who wants to be the first man to volunteer to drink it, nobody would answer. So it just goes to show, that these people can look business in the face and tell them, Caswell, if you hear it, you need to listen. If you hear it, these fellas are sitting on a panel and saying to the public that the sewage, extracting sewage and turning it into potable water for us to drink is better than the clear water that we got coming out the pipe right now. I just couldn't believe it.
Now let me tell you something. See, I want my water to come from the sky, pass through the coral, takes 3 months to get through there, and then you pump it out. And if there's any little impurities, you put some chlorine in it, and I will drink that. And then I want evaporation to take place, and we get more rain, and that happens again. I don't want no three-stage sets of water happen at all. Water from the toilet should not be used for drinking purposes because, especially in Barbados, because we don't have the technology. And I saw there are over 150,000 tests that you have to do in Singapore to get done. You think we got the capacity to do that here in Barbados right now?
Well, let me ask the question, Caswell. And Kimar, in terms of you referencing Europe, how many of those countries do the people drink the water coming out of their taps? I was just curious to know because when I am in the USA, even when I'm in homes in the USA, and I've spent time in the homes of people in the United States, I've spent time in the homes of people in the Cayman Islands. In the United States and in the Cayman Islands, especially in Cayman, people rarely, if at all, drink water from their pipes, in spite of the fact that the water is done by desalination in Cayman. The processes of which the gentleman spoke today that you challenge, and I don't, I can't, I've never been good at pronouncing African names, and I'm not going to start to try
Mwanza,
tonight. Wanza or
Mwanza,
Manza.
Mwanza,
Mr. Manza,
Mwan,
um,
Mwan, Mwan.
Wanza spoke about um, are utilized in places like the US and so on. And I have never seen an American that I have spent time in their home drink water from their pipes. But I can see, they have those, those cooler systems that you would buy and put the bottles upside down in them, these huge bottles of water. And they would put it upside down. And that's where we got our drinking water from. And it's the same thing in the Cayman Islands. You find them even in the homes. Cayman Islands, the people in the homes have those machines. They buy the big bottles of water. They turn it upside down. In the church that I attended there, they had a couple of them turned upside down. And that's the water they drank. Nobody drank even the desalinated water from the taps.
I can tell you that here in New York, the water that is used in New York City comes from two watersheds upstate. So even New York does not use sewage water for drinking. It does not.
Wow.
I don't
And
know.
how do you,
Go
what
ahead,
is
sorry.
the, that's okay. What is the, I mean, because I guess to some degree and if I'm incorrect, I stand to be corrected. I'm not an expert in this by any stretch of the imagination. I am learning a lot from Kimar and I'm learning a lot from Kazra. And I thank God for these two gentlemen that are educating us.
Young
But
gentlemen.
two young gentlemen, okay, I will say two young gentlemen. But what is the comparative cost, Kimar Caswell, as it relates to water being produced through the process the government is trying to promote, which incidentally the Minister of Finance in the UN, in the IMF meeting, indicated that their focus was desalination. But I'm going to let that pass. In terms of the cost to get to drinking water, what is the comparison between the sewage, going the sewage route, and going the desalination route? Which is the more expensive route to go?
Uh, to ask you, uh, Pastor Ferdinand, there's only 5% of the Barbados population that's attached to the sewage, and that was included in the CF feasibility study on water done
Okay.
by the European Union's on Barbados' water supply. And 95% of the country is not connected to any sewer, which means that by extension, you can't pump enough sewage water to make that plant viable. Right? That means that you are going to have to raise taxation, and you're going to have to reroute some of the same garbage and sewage tax to help fund that plant and maintain it. We can't get the sewage plant that we have right now. Man, just 2018 it broke down, mashed up, destroyed. So you can't get that maintained. You can't get the water supply that we have now clean enough that people could drink. Even somebody on here said that the water came out brown today. So it comes out a different color every
Yes.
day.
And he
So
attributed that to the rust in the pipes, man.
yeah,
Remember that?
I
I am attributing it now to this tool.
all right. Well, I
That's
this is
brown
my
tool.
thing here. Sometimes you have to sit and wait and decide what color the water gonna be today. So when they do this, we gotta sit down and wait for maybe some of the same excrement to come through the pipe. Right? So I'm not convinced, and neither do I have any trust in our public officials to manage a plant of that magnitude that they are borrowing 600 million Barbados dollars. And the same Mwanza said that it only took, and he only wanted 210 million to build one. And this was up from the 65 million that was originally on the table. And when you look around the world, as I said, $65 million could build you a proper sewage treatment plant for countries bigger than Barbados. Right? So you see what this is really about. So I am not convinced of it, because if I was convinced that they had the technical expertise, why would they fire the general manager to create two new posts of a chief executive officer and a chief operations officer? Right? Why are they taking the institution or the authority onto a statutory board, Sonia? Why are they seeking to, and that op-ed in the newspaper from Peter Webster, who said that the government should be relieved of the management of the water authority? We need to reject those type of things, right? Because when David Ellis asked on the panel if the government had any public-private initiatives on the table, they denied them, right? They denied them. They didn't want to tell the people about the loans with the Chinese. They didn't want to tell the people about the loans with the Europeans. They didn't want to tell the people about the $131 million that was put aside in capital works projects in the 2018-2019 budget. They don't want to tell the people about the $80 million in sewage tax. So they send out their hitmen to try to disavow the facts. But we are not letting this go, right? There's no way you can tell us, you're supposed to be a competent professional. There's no way that you can say to the public that you can come up with a process so pristine and clean that you can make sewage water into better drinking water than the clean water running through the limestone in natural water that we have here.
All
So,
right, let me go back to the act. Sorry, you go ahead, finish off it, Kim. Sorry,
so
you finish. You
I
finish.
know for right. So I know for a fact the maintenance of this tertiary level sewage plant will result in the raising of taxation and the increase of state transfers from the government, central government, to run that plant. There's even scope for public-private partnership, according to Mwanza, where private sector players can now be getting into the business. And if you read the legislation, the Barbados Water Authority Amendment Act, 2023, they spoke about the lands that they're going to approve in the zone ones, that these persons will have to have septic tanks. So they're trying to increase the cover from 5% to, to put more of the population on septic tanks so that they can have more sewage and sewage water to add into the aquifer, right? And it's featured right there in the legislation where they're speaking about creating the septic industry in Barbados and encouraging the people building in the zone one lands not to dig suck wells because they're trying to get rid of these suck wells. They're saying to them not to dig them, set up the septic tanks. And those septic tanks now will have an entrepreneur coming and collecting that waste and taking it up down to the plant to be treated and then put back in the aquifers to run through our pipes in our household under the disguised black water mixed with grey water, which equates the domestic water supply.
You
All
know,
right,
one of the
let me
areas,
let,
Caswell, one of the areas that I wouldn't mind you touching on, I don't know if you were about to do it or not, and please forgive me if you weren't. You can deal with what you want to do and keep this in the back burner. But this matter of rezoning, which in a sense can disenfranchise even farmers. Because you remember, like out there in Lower State, I think it is, where you couldn't construct housing in that area because I think that's a water table or something of that sort. Please correct me if I'm incorrect. Where I think if you go through there, there's only one house every 5 acres or something along that nature, something along that line. Can you shed some light on that matter and how that is likely to impact our water situation in the future going forward when you rezone an area that is a water area for construction, which I think I heard you speak about, mention last night. So just keep that in the back of your mind
or
as you.
let me address that first, and I'll come back to what I was going to
Okay,
respond to.
okay. Mm.
The zones, zone one, two, three, four. I think I don't know the fifth. They're determined. Like one is where you can't build and dig wells, and uh, because that goes right into the aquifer, right? And there's certain and in some areas you can't do agriculture out there because the chemical, the nitrates and stuff that you can't get water easily. So it's not even good for agriculture. What they have a proposal now is to make those zones smaller. I call them zone A, B, C, that nonsense. Just change the name, but they're making them smaller and freeing up land for construction. And I last night I pointed out to the people that that is madness simply because they do not know how the underground um, system is. They can't tell you. Nobody know how the water flows. And I use the example of Carrington Village, St. Thomas. Carrington Village, St. Thomas is the village at the back entrance of Westmahal Gully. That you can look right down into St. Andrew and look to see and all kind of stuff. Some years ago, when they were checking to see how the Harrison's Cave is affected, they put dye packs into those in the wells, in the toilets of people who live out there. And after a while, the dye ended up in Harrison's Cave. So you would expect, based on the topography of the land, that the water will go down to St. Andrew. No, it come back down to St. Thomas, because that is not how the underground system works. It might look as though the water that you got all these big hills and stuff that went down to St. Andrew, but that's on the surface. Underground is something completely different. So again, we use the example of Mount Stinkaroo. When they constructed the first cell of that landfill, they didn't seal it because it was determined that Mount Stinkaroo was in a zone 4 area, so not likely to have any impact on our water supply. So all the leachate from the garbage and however ended up at Molyneux, where 12% of the water supply of Barbados was pumped on a daily basis. So putting that garbage dump in a zone 4 area, uphill and from Molyneux and St. James, now that water is on that Molyneux is now part of Sandlin estate, and Sandlin pumps that water to wet their plants because we can never drink it. All right. So what should have happened? That area should have been expanded as a zone 1 area, far less. You telling me that you're gonna make them smaller. They do not know. They want to have land for development, and they're going to sacrifice our health, our water supply, to get houses. And what they will do, some cases, because this land is going to be at a premium, they're not going to sell it to poor people, and you will be able to build your nice mansions up there, and eventually they might say, Kimar said it, they might encourage you to put in septic tanks. You know, septic tanks can fail, and then it back into the aquifer again. These people need to leave the zones as they are, because they have shown me no evidence to suggest that as a matter of fact, I've seen evidence to suggest that the zones are even smaller than they should be. All right. So, but then again, I don't know why they are doing it and why they would want to compromise our health and by making these zones smaller, especially the zone 1 area. Right. Next thing that I want to talk about. Kimar, they are not going to be processing water, but a big not what this legislation is saying. They're not going to have a big Barbados Water Authority sewage treatment plant pumping in the water. They are going to have permit holders to process this water. Section 9 of the act that was passed in May, that we know for another boat, says a person may, in the approved form and upon the payment of the prescribed fee, apply to the minister for a wastewater treatment permit. So you can apply and you'll be able to treat wastewater. And it says a wastewater treatment permit to be issued to the applicant, where the committee recommends that a wastewater treatment permit be issued to an applicant. The minister shall, in the approved form and upon the payment of the prescribed fee, issue the permit to the applicant. So this now is also a money-making venture for the government. Government will charge the people permit fees to process the sewage water. I do not trust on these people processing water for me. But listen to what this water, this water is about. Let me read the definitions first. I'm not going to read all the definitions. I'm going to read what section 2 says. Whenever you're reading legislation, look for section 2. Those are where you find the definitions. All right. It says here, black water means wastewater that includes urine or human excreta with paper or both. That's black water. Gray water means wastewater generated from a kitchen, sink, shower, bathtub, or wash tub, or from laundry in A, house or other dwelling place, B, office building, C, hotel or similar building. That is black water and gray water. Now they have said to you, this is what the section 13, let me read section 13 for you. Section 13. The types of wastewater for use in water treatment plants. This is what section 13 deals with. A permit holder may use the following types of wastewater to produce reclaimed water for sale or supply, and use in accordance with this part. You can use agricultural wastewater. You can use industrial wastewater. C, that's A, B. C, domestic wastewater, and D, surface runoff. Section 14, use of reclaimed non-potable water. People call it potable, but I prefer portable. It's easier on me. Reclaimed water that is non-potable may be used for A, flushing water toilets, B, cleaning outdoor surfaces, C, watering or irrigating 1, edible crops, 2, household gardens, 3, ornamental plants and trees, and 4, green spaces. D, cleaning animal pens, coops, or holding areas. E, flushing and cooling equipment. F, filling surface ponds or lakes. G, recharging the groundwater. And H, other similar purposes. Whatever that means, I do not know. But it says that this water is non-potable water. But yet still, almost at the end of the section, it says recharging the underground water. So what will happen? You are going to
Council,
take...
before you, came back to me, you said that the same Chapman said on the program that the process they're not going to use the water for drinking. He denied it. He said that the water they're creating is not for drinking.
But he cannot say that with a straight face, because you are going to put it to recharge the groundwater. We drink groundwater. You see, so I don't know where these people are coming from, or why the civil service will have to come out and lie, because that is a lie. You are putting it back in the aquifer, and you see how water gets into the aquifer. It passes through the layer of limestone, and it then goes into the aquifer and remains there until the water authority dig a well and pump it out. But by the time that water passes through the limestone, sometimes a cap with 200 feet or more, sometimes less, it takes over 3 months for that, and it percolates through the limestone, and it is clear, clean water. Now you are taking non-potable water that came from, and let me read the source. They said that you can use agricultural wastewater, industrial wastewater, domestic wastewater, or surface runoff. No, I deliberately did not read what domestic wastewater is. I'm going to go back and read it for you now. The definition of domestic wastewater. I'm scrolling. All right. Domestic wastewater means, I'm reading from Section 2 of the Water Reuse Act 2023. It says domestic wastewater means black water and gray water generated in a house or other dwelling place. But remember what black water was. Black water was water that includes urine and human excreta with paper or both. So they are called, so what they're doing, they're not calling it sewage, they're calling it domestic wastewater. So that makes it palatable, because it's no longer sewage, it's called domestic wastewater, and you call it black water. They're actually not going to, and they're saying it is not potable, but you're going to take non-potable water and recharge the aquifer. And then you're going to pump it into our drinking system. So when you recharge the aquifer, that non-potable water becomes potable now. I tell you, a young lady called me, and she suggested that the people in her household were vaccinated, most of them. And after they started to use the thing, they use the toilets, there was a tree growing near the well, and that tree died. And she asked the question, could it be the MNRA that is being flushed into the system and messing up? Now, if it is very difficult, if not impossible, to get rid of MNRA, this is what the pump in your arm for these vaccines or these jokes. Now, it doesn't, but it leaves your body some. It doesn't leave your body altogether, but it reproduces, and you can some will pass out in your urine and your stool. It goes into the water system, and you can't get it destroyed. The chlorine and mash it up, or whatever filtering they do to make it non-portable, they're not going to destroy it. It goes into the aquifer, and then everybody is vaccinated. Everybody who uses the water. Because if you bathe with it, you can get vaccinated. If you drink it, you can get vaccinated. So is that the intent? Are we being guinea pigs for the people of the outside world using Barbados to see what will happen? Because we had all kinds of proposals to use small desalination plants around the country. I remember that well. They were going to use one in St. Lucie. They were going to use one. I think he might remember because I am speaking of it. And then all of a sudden, no, we are not using them anymore. We're going to go into this experimental nonsense where we're going to put feces. And you know, when I think about that, it's like my mind is like dipping a cup in the toilet bowl and drinking some water, because that is what the imagery I got in my mind, and I cannot shake it. I don't care what you tell me and what process you put it through. My sensibilities will not allow me to drink water that I know passed through the toilet first. And I suspect that the government knows that most people in Barbados are like me. So they sneak this legislation through Parliament, because I gotta say it again. Lord, thank you for this boy Kimar. He is who raised the alarm, because he told us one night on this show that what's his name? Strawn, the minister, people call him Minister of Finance, he is not. The minister that masquerades as the Minister of Finance said at an MF meeting that we're going to be using tertiary treated sewage to pump back and thing. And then I got the video of him saying it. I said, know something? I know the man's a puppet, but he just can't come up of that out with clear blue. Let me do some digging. And I went into Parliament's website, and I start checking. And lo and behold, I discovered that there was a water reuse act dated, let me find it for you. I want to find it for you. I don't want to mislead. I'm not a government person, so I don't want to mislead people.
Caswell,
Yes, please.
if you look on the screen, you'll see it there.
Yes, that's it.
There's the history
Scroll
of the
up.
bill. There's the history of the bill there.
Good.
So
The
the people can see for themselves that you're not telling fibs. That's
right,
the history of the bill.
the first
Notice
reading
date,
of the bill was
23rd of
they
May.
give notice of it in
Yes.
March. The first reading, second reading. So that means it was actually laid in Parliament on the 23rd.
But it went
of
into committee and report and everything in one day.
yes, all that was done in one day.
In one day. And the very next day under the Senate, the notice was on the 24th and the past date is the
And it passed
24th.
on the 24th.
I heard no
Right?
debates in Parliament. I heard no debates in Parliament. I saw no articles. I saw nothing.
Neither me.
Now, I am going to shift over, Caswell. I'm going to shift over to the bill. because people need to see what you're saying before people think that you might be making it up. And just let me say that Yale University recently completed experiments on distributing the treatment for the pandemics via air. They did it with rats, and now they're scheduling to test it with human beings. And my perspective is, if they did it with the air, what stops them from engaging the whole aspect of water when one takes into consideration the push of the World Health Organization to literally direct the health affairs of every single country on the planet? And I don't want to get into that tonight, but I'm going over to the bill. This is the bill here. This is the bill here. Let me see if it comes up there for you. Um, if it doesn't, let me try and bring it up, because I want people to be able to see and follow what you're saying. All right. What does it say there? Right. That is it. This is what you're talking about. Um, this is what you're talking about, Caswell.
You know, it's even
That's it
yes,
there.
but even yes, if you come to the top
Where you
of the
want me
bill,
to go? Go to the
if
top of the bill.
right to the very top of the bill, you will see the date 17/5/23.
Yes, sir.
All right, that is the date of this version of the bill. Okay, so how it could have been laid in March? How could they give notice of it in March? That's not true. That is the bill that they passed, but it was only done on the 17th of May 2023. So when they give this impression that it was out there from March, that's not true, because it was only done on the 17th of May. That's what we wanted you to see for the first thing. So start there. Then they bring it to Parliament and pass it all in one day in the Senate, and then the next day in the House. No public notice, no circulating the official gazette, because what you do with a bill, the first reading is when they're laid in Parliament and then Senate for printing. And if you look at the top of the act, the thing you will see right at the top, it says, just right at the top, just under the date 17th, objects and reasons. This is a bill. This objects and reasons is supposed to be published in the official gazette so the population would know what the government is doing. But there's no way you can publish this in the official gazette by giving notice one day and then debate it the same day. So that this objects and reasons thing is null and void. It didn't happen. So the public did not get the opportunity to see if this is what they were going to do. And I suspect they didn't want the public to know because of the nastiness that they were doing. Because I can only call it nastiness. You would expect me to drink sewage water, and they know that the Belgians we're not going to take lightly to it, so they hid it from you. We did not elect a government to deceive us. We expect, because everybody can't run their own government, so we selected 30 people to act on our behalf. Acting on our behalf means that you're our agent. You're supposed to report to us, not deceive us. If you were the agent for somebody, Freddie, and you lied to them, you can be dismissed. These people should be dismissed. Because something as fundamental as this and such a change to our culture. You're going to be in custom drinking, I don't know who else, but these people think, a lot of them, only players think that sewage is a lubricant. So after that, God knows what they could drink it too. And for one, I don't know who else is with me, but I do not intend to drink any of this nonsense. If I have to, I will demonstrate. I will do whatever I have to do to stop this, because you are not doing it from you're not doing it from an official source. You are getting people, permit holders, to produce this water, and then this water somehow end up in our aquifer. What are the quality controls? Because also this bill is supposed to come with regulations. They haven't put the regulations in place yet. So they didn't tell the country what they're going to do, how they're going to implement this act, because the regulations are usually made by the minister, and of course he's just signing them, but the technocrats will draft the regulations, and minister signs off on them. But at least we should find out what the regulations are, what it says. If you like, this act will say to you that the minister can make regulations. But where are the regulations? If you had all this time to put this act in place, you should have also had time. When you're planning this, you should also put plans in place to make regulations so everybody will know what the entire set of legislation is going to be doing. Right now, we are only scratching the surface what can happen under this act, because we only have the general outline of what can happen, and we know that they can use excreta and urine and water that contains that and toilet paper for us to drink. That is what we know. Do we know how they're going to process it and to what standard or what grade? No, we don't. We do not know. So all of these things need to be known. And why are we keeping this a secret among certain senior public officers and the people in the House and Senate? Why? And the same thing is, we have 9 independent senators now, and if they sneak this bill in the House and pass it in one day, I believe that they would have done the same thing in the Senate. And I doubt very much that the senators were aware that this thing was passing through, because I still speak with some of them, and they would have told me. And I will speak to 1 or 2 of them again, or 3 of them again after this program to find out if they knew about it. Because we should not be finding out about a bill that was passed in May in October. This is June, July, August, September, and now October. Almost 5 months after it was passed. Why the secrecy? Why the deception? They have done it with a lot of other things, and this country forgave them, or rather they have to forgive them. Rather, they just let it slide. You cannot allow it to slide now when they're going to ask you to drink feces, drink E. coli. That is what they ask you to drink, and they say it is non-portable water. Portable simply just means water for drinking. Somebody said drumming up business for the pharmaceutical companies MAM wants to set up here. This right now, the people of Barbados should not be sitting down and taking this thing lightly, because we should not be hearing from Ronald Chapman, Mwanza, anybody else. We did not elect any of them. They don't pass legislation in Barbados. They are the people who we elect, are the people that come and face the music. Why are they not facing the music? As a matter of fact, they didn't put on the music for us to hear, because they kept it secret from the people of this country. And they're breaching the normal procedures in Parliament every time to accomplish this type of business. They don't want you to know. Why they don't want you to know? Ask yourselves that question.
You were mentioning as well, Caswell, in terms of this particular bill, and I wondered if we could have actually shown it, and I do want to go back to it where you were giving the definitions. I'm going to go back to it, and
The
because I think
definitions are at section 3, section 2. Most
okay.
legislation, if not all,
Mhm.
at section 2 gives the definitions, because sometimes words in an act are not the same as in the dictionary. So
Correct.
so if it has words in it that have a different meaning from the dictionary, or you want to, you put them in the section, and it means that for this act and for this act. You will see it says here something like, in this act, agriculture wastewater means, right? Agriculture wastewater might mean something else in another act, but for this one, it means this.
Shall we go through? Shall we go through this then? Because I think I see something there, Mark. Black water and
Yes,
domestic water.
yes. Black water, they usually come down in alphabetical order. So A, agriculture, no, B, black water. Black water means wastewater that includes urine or human excreta with paper or both. And of course, the said committee is the Water Reuse Committee. That's a committee
Yeah.
established by this act to
Here's the
regulate
one:
stuff.
domestic wastewater is right.
Domestic wastewater means black water and gray water generated in a house or other dwelling place. And of course, when you come down now, go to page 7, it defines gray water. And it says gray water means wastewater generated from a kitchen, a sink, shower, bathtub, wash basin, or from laundry in a house or other dwelling place, office building, or a hotel or similar building. So if you go back to the definition though of domestic wastewater, it combines black water and gray water. And black water and gray water is what they will use for, because they said here the in section 13.
Section 13.
No, let me go back here for this to destroy what the people were saying in the program today. Portable water means.
Where you find that page?
This
What?
is wait, come further down. Just come down the definitions.
There it is.
Water means water of a standard of treatment or quality which makes it suitable for domestic use or human consumption. This is what the portable means in our act. So he is saying that it is thing. But higher up, non-portable means water which is not of a standard to be used as portable water. Well, that's helpful, but if you see what I mean. So they are actually now taking non-portable water, because these treatment plants, if you go back, follow my up and down crossways and stuff of this act,
Sure.
the section
Want me to go back
13.
on page
Now,
6?
if you come to section 13, no,
What page? Give me the
section,
page.
um, let me just tell you what page now, 7, 8, 9, 10, this, page 13 as well, right? They are going to give people permits to process this water. And it says here, the heading says, types of wastewater for use in wastewater treatment plant. And it says a permit holder may use the following types of wastewater to produce reclaimed water for sale or other supply and use in accordance with this part. And it says that you can use agricultural wastewater, industrial wastewater, domestic wastewater, and surface runoff. Remember we were upstairs last night. We said what domestic waste is. Domestic waste is black water and gray water. So you're going to be able to use the black water, which is stool, which is urine, which excreta or stool, and toilet paper. And now they said the use of reclaimed non-potable water. So this water at section 13 is supposed to be non-potable or non-potable, as we like to call it. The use of reclaimed non-potable water is at section 47 on the same page 13. It says reclaimed water that is non-potable may be used for A, flushing water closets, B, cleaning outdoor surfaces, C, watering or irrigating 1, edible crops, household gardens, ornamental plants and trees, and green spaces. D, cleaning animal pens, coops, or holding areas. E, flushing and cooling equipment, filling surface ponds or lakes. And G, recharging the groundwater. And H, other similar purposes. Let me go back to G. We got this recharging the groundwater. You have just said in this section that this water will be non-potable water. But you're going to take that non-potable water and recharge the groundwater. When that happens, you mix potable and non-potable, what you will get? Non-potable.
Well, that's the question I was
You are
just about to
polluting
ask
the
you.
underground water.
That's the question I was about to ask you. How do you separate these when they go down through into the aquifers? How do you separate them?
My suspicion is that they will be bypassing the layers of um limestone, because a lot of that runs off, and they're going to inject it straight into the aquifer. So they're going to be putting, because the limestone actually filters and cleans up the water and takes all it, if not almost, of the harmful stuff after it passes through the limestone. But you are putting this. They say you recharge the groundwater. How do you recharge the groundwater? If you put it on, you're going to put it. What you're going to do? You're going to put it in a zone 1 area. Let's see. Through I doubt. You're going to put it right into the water that is down there, and then you're going to mix the two. You're recharging. You're filling back up then the aquifer. And when you fill it up with gray water and black water, treat it a little bit, you will then pollute everything. And then water authority will pump it up, put some chlorine in it, and then you will drink it. Then you will have to have good medical insurance, because the QAH ain't going to be able to handle all of this. Right now, they can't handle what they got. So this is what this government is planning for us. And I do not believe that this devilish behavior came from our local people. This was imposed on us because they want to use us as guinea pigs. They want to see how it works. They want to see how the population drinking this water will react. Because in the other countries, the people are not drinking it. But we have a lot of people in Barbados who cannot afford to buy bottled water, and they will have to drink it. And then the experiments begin. They will
But you
monitor
know,
you and see how you live, how you what your health status is after the fact, and then they will report back. The same
I
thing that they did with the AstraZeneca vaccine.
I raised the aspect last night, and someone rightly asked me, in terms of who can afford it, because I was suggesting the use of filtration systems on your pipes. There are filtration systems that you can get now that you can attach to your house that will filter all the water coming into your home. I think carbon filters are a number of different elements that are used. You can get them just for your pipe, like your kitchen pipe, and where you would your I guess like in the sink where you would clean your teeth and so on. Because when you clean your teeth, you can't get rid of all the water out of your mouth. So maybe that's an area, but of course you can filter in terms of the entire house and entire property. But someone correctly spoke to me and said, well, not everybody can afford that. Even right here in my home, Caswell, we do not drink water from our pipes. We haven't for the past, I don't know how many years. We filter our water in a portable, I can't remember the name of the brand now, but it's very, very well known, a brand filter. We've been filtering our water for years, and you should see when I change those filters, the filth that is in it. In spite of the fact that when I look at the water coming out of my kitchen sink pipe, or even the old time homes had these sinks where you could wash your teeth and so on, it's pretty clear. So we have that filtration system that we fill with water, and then we transfer it into bottles, so that whenever we want to drink water or put water in the fridge, make juice or anything, it's made from that filter water. Because I did see one or two people ask, what do we do? Brita, thank you very much. Yeah, Brita filters, ISIS. That's correct. Brita filters. They're excellent. But we've been using that as well. There is a new filtration system I had seen some years ago, that uses centrifugal capability to purify the water by taking it through a spinning process. Um, I have to learn a bit more about that. But you mentioned something just now, and Kimar, I don't know if you can take this up, and that is the aspect of the global agenda, the international influence and impact that is being brought to bear in many ways, but particularly as it relates to the matter of water. Of water. Can you take it up and shed a little bit more light on that for us, so that we can maybe see, and I can pull up stuff on the screen if you need me to, that we can see some of the agenda that is being pushed upon us here in Barbados.
Yes. Well, as it relates to the water issue, you have countries across the world who have privatized their water authorities, right? And through privatizing their water authorities, that is how you ended up with privately run sewage industry, right? Along with the private provision of water. Uh, in Bolivia, that is the practice right now. And through countries in the world who are on IMF programs, most of them end up uh,
We
like,
lost you.
no,
Okay, you
I'm
you
here, I'm
dropped
here,
out.
I'm here,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay. Repeat what you had just said, then, because you dropped out for a second.
Right, right. I was saying that if you look across the world, countries that are in IMF programs uh, tend to experiment with these type of solutions. And let's not forget that Barbados is doing this through the debt swap. So the IMF, the Blue Green Bank, the Climate Fund, and remember the funding from this operation came from the Rothschilds, along with US aid and other international organizations. So it's realistically the IMF buying debt from a consortium of other banks and philanthropic organizations. Right? So they're saying that we will get $300 million in savings interest when they do the debt swap. But the danger with it is the trade-off is that you're kind of poisoning off the water supply, right? So we in the IMF program, yes, you're accepting the assistance, but I believe that if the government put forward a proposal as a sovereign country, uh, that the IMF must consider our position as it is Barbados and the elected politicians do have the country to run. They have the polls to face. So I don't support the lay down and take it all from that the government is putting forward and allowing the international organizations to just run all over the country and experiment with these fanatic ideas. Right? Because it is nowhere in the world that any country who has done this came up with better drinking water. And those two persons who are on the radio could say to Barbadians that the water from this sewage treatment plant will be considerably cleaner than the water that we have now. So they're telling you that the water that you have now is garbage, is sewage, and they could do a better job, right? But I don't believe that. I believe that the water that we have now, because I would hate to believe that they tainted it already, but the water that we have now seems to be of okay quality, and it seems to have world recognition as being some of the cleanest around. So to mix that and contaminate it with the sewage, that it then takes away the right of a Barbadian to just go and open the fridge and get a glass of cold water when outside it's hot. No, you can't do that. You don't have to be expensive to go and buy bottled water. Some bottled water we say here is the same sewage water as well in the bottle. We don't have to go and buy that, which is another expense on families. Think about a mother who has to buy water for 5 and 6 children. Think about that. Think about the elderly in Barbados having to go to supermarkets now and buy big gallons of water because they can't drink the water coming out the pipe. And they believe that if the water coming out the pipe, you gotta bathe in it. And that water smells. I don't care what they say. Because look at Sandy Lane. When you pass Sandy Lane some days, you smell a stench. A serious stench from the water. And I know that they use they have their own sewage treatment plant on site. So I am saying that if the government and somebody here says 300 million US on the IMF, they are putting us up on the table through this climate agenda and through the IMF program and the reform to state-owned enterprises, because they agreed with the IMF to cut the Barbados Water Authority from off the books of government eventually. That is why the Prime Minister reinforced that the management of the South Coast sewage plants and stuff must remain under the auspices of the Barbados Water Authority. Right? So if you look at Trinidad has what you call WASA, the Water and Sewage Authority, which is one umbrella. We don't have that. So eventually they will be looking to merge that into the, not just speculating in the name, but the Barbados Water and Sewage Authority, to amalgamate all of the assets of the Water Authority and all of the assets of the South Coast projects and whatever else they could put in under a new reformed state-owned enterprise that is IMF obviously recommended, that will now include the adjustment of water prices upward because there is a clause in our last IMF program, and this was since 2007. The IMF was telling the government of Barbados that they need to adjust the price of water upwards to correct the financial imbalances happening at the water authority. Right? So the financial situation will not get any better there, because the intention from day one in agreement with the IMF was to remove that institution from government books, and that's why they changed the collection of sewage tax from consolidated fund to run it straight there, because they want to hide the funds, remove them off the books, and hide and funnel the funds through there, that you can't see whatever collections or whatever they're making. The other arm of it is full on privatization, public-private partnerships, which is to have the private the private players, private sector operators, hand in hand with the government, that the government now uses taxpayers' fund or continue to use taxpayers' fund to give contract to the entrepreneurs in the new Swiss industries. I'm not just talking like a year contract and two. I'm talking about 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 years in government funds to these particular private sector organizations. And these funds will be coming directly through levies charged on your water bill. So soon the government will institute what you call a water levy in Barbados, which will be the amalgamation of three different taxes in one, but they're gonna hide it in one, just call it a simple water levy. That's what they're gonna remove. They're gonna claim that they're gonna remove the sewage tax in phase, and they're gonna remove the water bill element, combine them, and charge you a water levy. So it will be a combination of all the different charges of water rates that we pay, and amalgamate all of them into what we call a water levy. Right? And then that water levy will involve the collection of the garbage and sewage tax, both for sanitation and water purposes, and also for maintenance of the sewage treatment plants, and also to financially compensate in terms of contractual arrangements, in terms of direct government guaranteed contracts to the owners of these new sector industry or new sewage players or whatever you want to call them.
Kima, you said something earlier, and I don't know if you realize you hit the nail on the head. Again, you mentioned that the IMF imposed these things on us, but you will also recall that the IMF have been trying to impose things on successive governments of Barbados. Successive administrations have been able to stand up and say, no, that you can't touch that. No, you can't touch this. No, you can't touch this. So everything that the IMF proposes in Barbados now under this administration, they have accepted. So just now we're going to be seeing by the increase in the pension age, that's IMF. You see the lowering of the amount of money you're going to get from pension, from national insurance, that is IMF. You see the new civil service pension arrangements, that is IMF. But the IMF has also said to successive governments that we should not be able to afford free health care. So since this government has been doing everything the IMF has said, we won't be able, don't know if we're going to have to pay at the QEH. And also, you have, they said that we should be able to afford free secondary or free tertiary education. So just now, we can start having to pay at Commerce and Harrison College, those schools again. So IMF, because this administration is taking everything out of the IMF playbook. What do you think that this IMF agreement that we have, the first one under this administration, was the fastest ever in the history of IMF um, program? It's the fastest negotiated one. You want to know why? The IMF is in control. They say and we say, yes, ma'am. You know? or just yes sir, yes sir, 3 bags full or whatever they said is just. So we are just complying. We are not saying no, no, no. Listen, you can't touch this. From Barrow down, free secondary education, and no wonder why get rid of the common entrance, because then it would have another way of getting them into schools, because common entrance used to put everybody on the same playing field. If you're bright enough, you got the school will get has marks for and that kind of stuff. And if you're not, so be it. But they want to change everything. Well, remember when the dams had charged people some money to go to university? You know now that this government came in and said, no, 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 we can pay. And you're actually paying more now. How many people are aware of that? How many people are aware that you are now paying more than what the Dems had put in place? They talk big and pretty, but they then try and do everything the IMF has said, and they do it to us and they slide, because we are only hearing about these things after the fact, and they can't help but saying to the country. I said it last night and I will say it again. The oldest young man on the screen here, the other young man, not me.
Which which other young man? Because I got two other young men on the screen. Heather wouldn't
Keep,
accept that because she's a full-fledged woman.
yeah,
So,
yeah. you know, Kimar, if Kimar did not bring this to the attention of the people, I myself would not be aware, because I wasn't paying much attention to it. I'm trying to fight my own things. I have to put down my fight now for workers' rights and take up this mantle, because this, even though I'm not going to say it's more important, but it is almost as important or as important as what I do. So I had to divide my time between the two of them. I sat down and I went looking, because I know the government, I know this government well enough to know that they got something hidden, and I found it. But if not for Kimara, I didn't look. And that is the biggest problem we got. They're always finding a way to deceive us. And we have to tell them, no, sorry, we really like you to deceive us. Tell us the truth. We are big enough, we are bold enough, we are strong enough. We can take it. We are not little girls at Springer School that you right in and terrorize. You're not going to terrorize us. Tell us the truth.
last night after the meeting, you remember, Kimar and Caswell, that we had a question and answer and contribution time. And one of the gentlemen that contributed shared this information with us that I knew nothing about, that I have up on the screen at the moment. And I'm going to try to let you follow it, Caswell. And I don't know if you or Kimar can shed any light on about this, but he spoke about this area in up by Hillaby, a place called Highclere.
Hi, Claire.
Highclere. And he made the point, and he was absolutely correct, that anytime you see a dark image like this on a map, it generally indicates water. And I said to him, but we don't have any lakes in Barbados. He told me, yes, this is created. I won't call the name by whom, but he said it has some 18 million gallons or something like that of water. And this is a current. I can't remember the date, but this is a current image. This is Barbados that you're looking at here on the map. This is up by Hillaby. If we come over here to the left, I'll just pull it over, let you see. You have the Hillaby Turners Hall Primary School over here. All right. And this is the out here by Ebenezer. And this is an area, I just have to reduce it to get the name back on the screen, called Highclere. Do you know anything about this, Caswell, you, Kimar? You know anything about this?
I know the area well, but I haven't been up there for so long. I didn't know that High Clare they have actually developed this pond. I know they were doing one further down the road, and where they blocked off all the water, it to run through the gullies and stuff, and had all kind of birds and stuff on it, and um, they got fish in it and all kind of stuff. But it should be used for um, irrigation. And the point that I've been making for years, is if Williams Sir Williams could do this. Why can't the government? If the government were doing that, Carew would still be alive today. Barn thing, because all that water that comes down there went straight into the sea. Why can't we find a way of trapping that water upstream and using it rather than use sewage water? You want to know why? Because the IMF didn't tell us to do that. They want to experiment on us. I prefer the water. This is sewage water, you know. This is water that actually came from the rain and water that seeped into the earth. And there's springs all about this here. If you look further down the road is Porry Spring. If you come back down here, it's Porry Spring, because you got Hillby Turnasol. If you come on that main road, you get Danscombe, then Porry Spring. Right? You see Danscombe? Good. And Porry Spring, we had water running there from the time I was a boy. My mother knew about it, and she's dead now. She died at 91. It was there, and water was running. I don't know what happened, but there used to be two outlets. The water used to be running all of them, but eventually the water dried up, and you only got one now. But that is water that comes from the rain that seeps into the ground, and then you have some sort of fissure into the rock, and it comes out to be a spring. And that spring used to flow right through Spring Farm Gully. And I used to go in and catch crayfish as a little boy. Same thing further up the road at Danscombe. Used to go out Danscombe and catch crayfish. You know, but no, we somehow think that we gotta drink stool. We got a lot of water. I'm talking about water scarce my foot. You mean they don't trap it?
Let
Damn the
me
water.
let me ask you something, Kimar and you, Caswell, because one of the things I noticed, and Heather, you might be able to even comment on this, but one of the things I noticed is that in the US, when they're doing a development, one of the things that I was told, I do not know, I was speaking with a contractor in the United States in the Fort Lauderdale area, was that when they're doing the construction of a development, they have to provide a catchment area for rainwater. And they're generally very large, like lakes, that they have to provide. And that catchment area for water is generally used by the residents within the development for things like gardening and that type of thing, bathrooms, that type of thing. Do we have that in terms of requirements when you're constructing a development in Barbados? Anything of that nature?
Well, you can remember the government gave water tanks to people when they were suffering water outages.
Yes.
And they were charging you stuff about thousands to set up a plant. They were giving you the plant free, but they were saying if they had to pay for it, they will own it, not you. Right? And I don't know how successful it was, but once upon a time we had people who used to harvest rainwater off the roofs, set up barrels and stuff, and funnel the rainwater in there and wash the car, wet the gardens, do all types of things with it. But eventually there will come a time when the government will ban persons from capturing rainwater. This
Um,
happen. This happens across the world. In some countries where you cannot capture your own rainwater, and you're seeing a piece of that in the legislation, the Barbados Water Authority Amendment Act, when you're saying to persons with private wells that you can't extract the water, that you have to have a permit from the government
Yeah,
to
I saw
extract
that. Yeah,
to
I
extract
saw
your
that.
own water.
Yeah, on your own
um,
Right?
property.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry,
um,
Heather.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Go
what I
ahead.
can say for Florida, I used to live in Florida, and the developments that are created, all of them have man-made lakes, but it's because of the soil. The soil, they are usually, I think the soil has what is mixed with water, And from time to time, lots of places collapse. Remember a few years ago, an apartment building fell in somewhere,
Yes.
I think it was in Miami. So
Yes.
those
Yes.
man-made ponds are to drain the waters from under the houses so that it wouldn't cause them to collapse. And
Okay.
most of the foundations, the houses, they don't dig for a foundation. They just put down a slab or so for the foundation of houses. They don't dig like how we dig down 6 feet
Mhm.
in Barbados or something like that. So it's a bit different.
Okay. Okay. Thanks so much. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, go ahead, Kimar.
Yes. So we as a country, we experience a certain amount of rainfall. So encouraging people to capture rainwater and teaching them to use the correct technologies is a solution that we could look to implement. Because I just don't want to get caught up here and discussing the whole. I want to discuss how we can move forward also on this. So
Yes. Yes.
encouraging residents again to set up pipes capture rainfall water usage in households is a good idea. I know there's technology where you can harness water vapor from the air.
Yes, I've seen that. I've seen that done in Europe. I've seen it done in Africa.
I've seen it right here in Barbados.
Really? Wow. I
Yes,
didn't know
yes,
it
Yes.
was
yes,
here.
yes. It's here. I've seen it. And instead of borrowing money from the same IMF and those people to implement ideas like that and channel funding to entrepreneurs like those people that could help the people of Barbados in a more positive, more uplifting way, we would have accepted an idea like that. That if the government and a political party could come to the people of Barbados and say, well, our plan for you as it relates to replenishing the aquifers is to encourage you to set up water tanks. We're going to provide the water tanks. If you want to volunteer for the program, come forward. The government is going to give you the water tanks and the specific technologies to set up on your properties that they could harness and extract the water however they see fit to replenish these sea and groundwater aquifers. Like starting to capture the rainfall in the gullies, give people contracts and the work to go and harness the waterfall that just flows back into the sea. Give the people an opportunity to do that, as opposed to saying that we're gonna go down in the sewage and give you it to drink. Like, that's a big contrast. So there are so many things that those persons could have thought about that could have moved this situation forward in a much positive way as opposed to going the negative low way to the sewage, right? So my next suggestion to the government is that if we are looking at this whole climate agenda, we experience hurricanes ever so often, flooding ever so often. And if we are serious about really tackling this water issue, some of the subjects that you teach at UE, you could get rid of some of them. I teach the people in the schools how to do water management and facilitate water technology. You could do it at Polytechnic as well, right? Because we're looking at renewable energy altogether, right? So Busy Williams has his plant set up to harvest solar, right? The solar panels are being put on the roofs of Barbadians and it's supposed to be fed into the grid, but that's a whole nother issue because uh, the government and Lighten Power is back and forth because the government don't want to renew Lighten Power license or Lighten Power is not allowing people to feed into the grid. So there's a whole lot of issues going on there. But if we're discussing renewable energy and they are tackling the issue of the high light bills and stuff through harnessing solar energy, uh, the government is not getting it rolling as it should. But you could dust it off and take it up and keep it going. And put it as a holistic plan to help people, one, reduce light bills, and two, reduce water bills. Because right now we pay more money in taxes on water bills than water bills alone. We give out our water bills. Like the tax is $45 and the water infrastructure is $30, $32. Like so you pay more taxes than you pay bills. The increase in the fuel adjustment clause on the light bill, which means that light bills will go up because the cost of fuel is supposed to be going up on the world market. Meanwhile, they just said that they're trying to deal with Venezuela to get low oil prices. So I still don't understand why the price still jumping on us, right? But um, focusing back on the people, we need to start to get some relief from these issues. So reducing the cost of living and tackling the electricity rate, how we could use the solar energy to reduce the cost of light bills in Barbados, and two, how we can harness rainfall even at the individual level, assisted by the government to help reduce the cost of water bills and to help our people to not be involved in the sewage and drinking sewage water. So that
Look,
those are my suggestions to help the country.
look, you have a situation where the government, without any consultation with anybody, thought that everybody needed a garbage can. I got two now. And one, I don't generate enough garbage to fill both. So one out there turned upside down while the and spent $8 million on those garbage cans. Government is just trying to find a way to flit away our money, giving contract to their friends. Because those garbage and the thing is, the guys on the back of the trucks don't like to use them because they don't work fast enough for them. So they by the time you take that garbage can and wheel it to the back of the truck and use the levers and stuff, and think you'll be working a whole day when you first just finish that job in 4 or 5 hours. So the route you gonna finish it in 8 if you put every can that the government give out there on the back of the truck and put it in. So they don't consult the people. They don't understand how the system works. They just try to find a way how to make money for their friends. My concern, most of all, now is that leave water out of that business. Fine, if you're going to be going to do all this corruption and giving friends work and thing, leave the water out of the corruption because everybody has to use water, and it can be deadly if you do not have proper drinking water. It is not, for instance, even if the government decide to give you tanks and you don't have those tanks clean on a regular basis, you're gonna get sick. All right, you have to service those tanks. Anytime at all you have a tank, you can capture water that cannot be for drinking. And now, since they're gonna put black water and gray water, mix up and put it in the aquifer with a little bit of the stool taken out and the paper taken out. Now, what's gonna happen? You go to a restaurant, you ask for a juice. You think they're gonna use bottled water to mix your juice? Huh? They're going to the pipe, they're gonna turn on the tap. So if you say, well, I can only drink bottled water home, but you can't go into a restaurant and ask for a snack box and orange juice because that orange juice is mostly water anyhow, and they're gonna be water from the pipe. And they're not going to do like some drink companies and purify the water first because it would not be feasible or practicable for a small restaurant to employ that state of art and equipment just to make a few cups of juice when the day comes. So we're going to be drinking it one way or the other.
You know, it's interesting, Kazul and Kimar, that while we've been going through this session tonight, I've been searching online to do with the matters to do with water, globally and whatnot. You know, in almost every instance, the first entity that appears is the World Economic Forum. Almost every single instance. and the promotion of the PPP, the whole aspect. There was one where I saw them speaking about 80% of wastewater is of water is wasted through wastewater. What we're talking about tonight, and they're talking about um, the reclaiming of it and the use of it. So I wonder if in terms of that, if we're not finding ourselves falling victims to a global agenda, a global perspective that is driving our local environment.
And we are the guinea pigs. We are a small society that they can use as a case study to see how it works. That is what Barbados is all about. Everything so far, from the vaccines down, I will keep on talking about this, so don't stop me. From vaccines down, we were the first people in the world to use AstraZeneca. India produced that vaccine and sent it here to see if it can work for Belgians first. When years ago, when the Light and Power wanted to see the effects of windmills on their people, on the people that were going to start erecting windmills in Barbados, they wanted to use a small community, Josie Hill, because they wanted a small enclave that people born there, live there, and die there. Most of the people in Josie Hill never left. So you would have been able to trace their history from cradle to grave in that little enclave. And Light and Power went down there, and so, of course, then one of my friends lived down there. He called me, tell me, "I want your help." So he went down. And we had a whole big bunch of noise down there. Eventually, they didn't put them in. But this is how they do it. This is how they do business. They look for a small, they wanted to see how it will affect us. And then they will see how we're affected, and they will work out any kinks. And this is what Barbados is good for. Now, that's why we get these loans. That's why we get all this in, because we are willing participants, not we, the government of Barbados are willing participants into the experiments that the people in the national community have for us. They are selling us out as guinea pigs. We got to be careful. We have to stop this government, whether you like it or not. Whether you're a B, D, P, Q, NDP, whatever you are, you have to realize that these people are no good for us. Stop stifling your conscience and realize that this government has done everything to hurt the poor people, the poorest of the poor of this country. But you might talk about it earlier. You put a $32 tax, a $45 tax on a $32 bill. I've never seen it before where you pay more tax than you pay for the service you are getting. This is what is happening. Mind you, I can tell you, there's some large hotels in Barbados that were paying $32 too. I'm paying the $45 tax.
But Caswell, what's mind boggling about this thing is that only 5% of Barbadians are connected to a sewage plant. 5%. So you have an entire island of wastewater just running off into the sea. You refuse to tap that, but now you want to tap into 5% of sewage. That's crazy. And you want 90. You got right now. You have 95% of the population paying to fix a problem that 5% of the people cause. Right? And again, I don't know who to believe, Clymaskell or believe Mwanza. But
Well,
that $80 million a month,
I can believe Clyde Maskell. Clyde Maskell spoke out of turn. That's why you're not hearing it now. You don't realize that since he said that thing, you don't hear him.
well,
well,
I
He would have been
don't know.
dragged over the coals for giving accurate information.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how it will fit, but I think this would be a great transition from what you just said, Kimar, to one little point, one little aspect, a little issue that occurred over the last several days, in the last 30 minutes that we have really of the program tonight. that maybe we can touch on. And of course, I am sure you know what this is going to have to do with, Heather, and that is the disappearance from from our parliament of some valuable assets of the Barbadian people. Some persons have asked really that we touch on it tonight, and I really don't want to end the program without the opportunity for us to weigh in on it. Um, but I
The,
heard on the news today that the perpetrator has been located, and that the perpetrator is one of our street characters that broke in and removed not just Mr. Barrow's jacket, but apparently a number of valuable artifacts. Um, Gentlemen, Heather, what is your take on this? I mean, we're talking about part of a buildings, huh? Okay, talk about part of.
yeah, that, that building is locked. They got
Excuse me a minute.
electronic security, and they have um, people, actual physical persons there during the day and stuff. You got electronic security at night. The gates are locked. Now, Ninja Man, because it's suggested Ninja Man, he would have got to be the invisible man to walk inside there and get into these places and through a closed, locked door. Either they left the door open for him because they took away his accommodation, but they tried rebuilding, so they opened another place for him, or but somebody was negligent. Some person or persons were negligent. And first of all, the place was condemned and not being in use. So why were you still storing those valuable artifacts in the condemned building? And then the building condemned, and you got valuable artifacts, and you open the door so that people could go in because the doors were unlocked. The doors were unlocked. So if a street character went in, let's say that is true, that he went in, the way was made clear for him to go in. I'm still of the view that they want to wipe our Barrow name from the history pages in Barbados, and they will do any and everything possible to do that. I do not. If Ninja Man took them, so be it. But he was allowed to take it. It was not a break-in; it was a breakout.
Were
Uh,
the items
that,
recovered?
that's
Does anybody
not
know
yet.
if the items were recovered?
Mm. Not yet. They're investigating, but we have a. I just want to say good night to Marcia. Uh, Thanks to Marcia. We had a. I mean, we didn't talk about it enough, but we had a very good Rosé Parliament yesterday. Um, we passed 4,000 views already on the stream. So we're growing big. We're growing big. So I just want to thank the people for tuning in and thank the persons for turning up. Thanks to Dave for putting in all the work. Thanks to all the vendors who turned up and played the services. Thanks to the people who came and asked questions. Thanks to Caswell, myself, Pastor Ferdinand. Thanks to you, Heather. Thanks to everybody, even the persons who donated to the cause. You know, thanks a lot. Keep the donations flowing. We have a lot of work to do in terms of more roadside parliaments. As Caswell said, we're gonna make our stomping ground large. We're gonna make it big and build ourselves and move roadside parliament all around Barbados. Um, so however you can help, Marcy is always open to the assistance. Contact Caswell, contact Heather, contact myself, and contact Marcia for sure, and she'll be open to any assistance you could give to her. As she said, thanks to the management of West Mall for allowing us to use uh, their premises for the opposition parliament. I also want to thank Esther Burton Tudor, who's the proprietor of the mall. And if you know a bit about the Tudor family, those were very close with Barrow. Uh, and they would have served in government together around the time. So the property has a deep history uh, as well. So we are on good grounds. So again, thanks very much and thank you very much to the people. We are making serious headways. This is twice that both of us, say parliaments made it onto national radio. So we want to applaud ourselves for doing a brilliant job. I know the people definitely appreciate us being here every other night. Uh, we're on paid, we're on bought, and we're doing it for you, the people, and for future generations to come. So again, Rosary Parliament, and now we can sit back to our Parliament now that our vagrants are
Taking
in.
over.
Well, talking about the roadside parliament, Kimar, I just want to encourage those of you who can and who are willing to do so to remember the donations that you make. And here we're not just talking in terms of money, we're talking in terms of food. And we've been able, from what I understand from Marcy, we've been able to assist several different families and so on through those donations. There's a barrel that we usually keep there for you to drop your donations where that is concerned. You will see up on the screen that we still have a deficit. You see, this is transparency, Kimar. This is transparency, Caswell. We have a deficit of $130 from the Parliament last night, and we need to raise $2,500 for the upcoming march because we have to pay the police, we have to pay for the sound system, we have to pay for the truck. And contrary to what somebody posted on Facebook, I understand that we are funded by some right wing movement in the United States of America. That is total garbage. Total garbage. I don't know how any thinking person could be so stupid enough to see persons like myself and Caswell and others involved in this movement and talk that rubbish. I can't believe people would be that stupid and that naive. But nevertheless, um, they know what George Soros pays them to do. And he's paying them to do it here in Barbados too, because he's funding our university, and Bill Gates and Melinda Gates, the Melinda Gates Foundation, they are here. And when I see things like the op ad, I mean the photo op that we saw the other day, one of the people that I would never want to be seen holding hands with, shaking, or looking at in their face is Justin Trudeau. I won't want to have anything to do with him. And I don't know. As a matter of fact, I was just reading on my screen here a moment ago that there have now discovered the Canadian government have now admitted the presence of some DNA matter and I can't remember the details of it now, in the vaccines that were used that are creating a problem. Now they have now finally admitted to that, and in the United States, the way has now been cleared to sue the CDC and the FBI and FDA, sorry, and Pfizer for the injuries for the joke injuries. Let me be careful, right, Heather? For the joke injuries in the United States. So we don't really want to be a part of these individuals. Nobody elected the World Economic Forum to office, yet they're the people who are dictating and determining for all the world leaders what is going to be happening in our world. And well, I personally object to it. I object to it because I didn't elect them to office. As a matter of fact, I didn't even elect this group to office. And I heard somebody posted a little earlier about the minority. This is really a minority government, It had the lowest voter turnout ever in the history of Barbados. And a number of people, I understand from what was posted in the chat a little while ago, some 30,000 people were denied the ability to vote because of the COVID lockdowns and so forth. That's what they say. That's what the EBC says. So, um, all we want to do is to keep bringing these matters before the face of the general public and asking questions. And a part of transparency and accountability is not getting upset like the member where is he from, Caswell? St. James what? I'm not calling any names.
St. James North.
St. James North, that got on his high horse because questions were being asked about the child protection bill, and he is going to tell us that we are trying to hijack the bill and trying and talking foolishness. That is not the way to respond to when people have concerns. If people have concerns, the way you deal with it is that you face the concern head on and you respond to that concern in an amenable manner. This attitude that politicians have in Barbados, where they treat the rest of the people like they're dung or dumb idiots, and get on as though we're stupid and we don't have any intelligence. Mind you, we're supposed to boast a 98% literacy rate in the country. So
So,
what? Huh?
for we just saw it. What you explained just now is verbatim in what we saw today. You listen to it. You heard them on the radio. They
Yes.
say to us, today, don't, were you shocked to know that you drinking sewage water? And they had the heart and the guts to explain, well, this how you're already drinking it. I, I, like, you're almost lost for words to like, these people could be so bold and brazen to tell you these things to your face and then turn around and ask you what you shot after they never told you in the first place. Right? So what you say really is a prime example of what they just did there with that sewage situation.
I have been in all types of leadership positions and trained in leadership and all of that. And I must say, if there's one thing I have always appreciated are my critics. I don't know you guys, well, and Heather, I don't know how you guys are, but I appreciate my critics because I learn a lot. One of my greatest critics is my wife because she wants me to do better on so she critiques. And when I say critics, I don't mean criticism. She critiques when I do things, even when I'm on here. She's watching this tonight, and you can bet that tomorrow morning when I get up, if there's something she needs to critique about me in the context of tonight, she will have it on a WhatsApp message to me. And what that does is it helps me to formulate a different perspective, a different approach to things as I go forward. And she's been a valuable asset, a valuable asset. And I don't understand why these government individuals, and it's not just, you have to excuse me, it's not just the Labour Party, it's the politicians in Barbados, period, period. In a
Freddie, my
good
own
shape.
experience is that if I'm not being criticized, I know that I doing something wrong. You know
Something is,
me?
yeah,
I know honestly, when I because but look, I probably one of the most criticized people in this country, and I feed on it. When I'm not being criticized, I said, "What's something wrong here?" I remember when I used to write the column in the Nation. Friday, I used to look and see how many people curse. I don't mind the people who praise and say, I want to see who curse me because I want to see if they have a point. Because I can then turn that around and make it better the next time around. So yeah, people can always say, "Oh, that's really good." But I want to hear where you feel that I am wrong, so that I can say, something for a lot of point. That makes me better and stronger than I was. That everybody saying, "Oh yeah, that's really good," and that kind of stuff, and nobody is telling me the truth of how they feel. I'll give an example. I used to teach labor law at community college, and I gave an exam really This was if they can get the certificate that he was supposed to get. And I taught something in class. And this guy in the exam, man, he turned everything around. Man, I was talking about the relevance of trade unions and things and how they perform, you know. And of course, now I'm a giant secretary of a trade union, and the man flared trade unions, and you know, and he thought he was going to fail, you know, but he got it off his chest. I gave him 92 because I didn't agree with everything that he said, but he argued it and he argued it well, you know, and he had his own opinion. His opinions were not mine, and mine were not his, and he had his own views. But when he argued his point, I cannot flaw his argument. I gave 92, even though he criticized me. You know,
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. No, and, I really have appreciated it very much. And I would think that, and that is why I'm calling for, if you're going to have, what was the thing again? Um, if you're going to have these Christchurch speaks and St. Joseph speaks and all the, why can't it be a joint a joint constituency meeting? And when I say that, I mean people of all political persuasions coming together and meeting with the government representatives, and persons such as ourselves and Kimar, in a constituency meeting for the constituents. Okay, if you want to have it for the parish where you pull, like St. George, where you pull St. George North and St. George South together, where uh, the criticisms can be leveled, just like how we did the roadside parliament, Caswell. We spoke, and then there were people who could have come and disagreed with what we've said. Persons had the opportunity to come and ask questions. No, not no more matches. It's just for this season. This season, Saturday coming will be the final march for this season, for this series. But there are more to be planned. And what we want to do is that we want to have. Sorry to digress, Caswell. We want to look at establishing some planning meetings and some working groups that we can more effectively address specific areas such as education, economics, health, finance, and so forth. The different areas. The programs are going to be ongoing. And I know Marcia is conceiving a number of other aspects that she's looking for, because we want this to grow. We want the momentum. We want the momentum to be maintained, but at times it calls for you just pulling back for a minute and taking a look at the processes that we're engaging in, to see the value that it has been, what we can do better, and to listen to some of the critique that you on the who are on the platform. We've got up to over 400 people on occasions. I hear, Heather, over 4,000 views or more for the YouTube and so forth. And to me, it's a valuable exercise, so we can do things better. We can improve what we're doing. And I really would like to see, honestly, I challenge the government. I challenge the Democratic Labour Party. I challenge the APP. And of course, we are here to come together, representatives from all of us, have a constituency meeting, invite the constituents from that constituency, St. Joseph, St. Andrew, St. Lucie, St. Peter, St. George North, Christchurch. If you want to bring all the people together from Christchurch or whatever, do it. But it's not going to be a political party meeting. It's got to be a constituency meeting where the government has to give account. We have to give account. Questions can be entertained. Contributions can be made. That is how we get a better Barbados. And if we are going to change how we do politics in Barbados, if we are going to be a true republic of the people, by the people, for the people, then there must be a medium created, must be a facility created to take the input of ordinary Barbadians, not just the people who come out of a university and out of a law school, but ordinary Barbadians who, in my view, are brilliant. They may not have the degrees, but I encounter far too many of them who are simply downright brilliant people. And many of them too, Caswell, are young people with some innovative, creative ideas that can contribute significantly to the advancement of our country to become a world leader in many, many areas. And if we continue with um, this disingenuous attitude, what you're going to do is that you're going to prevent people who would want to come forward and would want to be able to contribute to the overall benefit and development of Barbados. You're going to prevent them from doing it because they see how persons like Caswell and Kimar are treated. And not everybody has the intestinal fortitude and the backbone to stand up like you guys stand up and manage the not just criticism but manage some of the nasty remarks, some of the things that we have had to endure. So I'd love to see that type of thing happen. Your thought?
You know, but what you must do, Freddie, is to ignore it. You know who you are. They can't know you better than you. And so if they say nasty things about me, like, no, not true. Well, I'm going to be bothered by it, ain't true. You know what
Well,
I
I
mean?
can tell you, I don't care. I don't care. I know myself. I can tell you that. But the reality is, Caswell, that there are a lot of people who are not necessarily like us, and they don't have the backbone of steel like us, but they're brilliant and they do have great ideas. And when they see some of the things that we go through, they don't want to come forward because they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to be cussed, abused, and maligned, and all of that. And it is regrettable that that is the environment that we continue to set in Barbados politically when we are supposed to be a new republic. And if I make no apologies for saying it, if we are a new republic, we have to reset how we do politics in Barbados. And clearly, the persons in the political arena today are from the old school, the old military type school, which does not have a place in our existence today. It simply doesn't. And so we need a serious reset. Um, when it comes to politics in Barbados. And I hope I don't have to leave it for my grandchildren and my great grandchildren to do. I want to try and do what I can now to begin the process of reformation where our political system is concerned. Um, Imar?
Yes, yes. Um, don't don't forget to like and share the video, everybody. We need to keep the social media going. You want to get more people aware of what we're saying. This issue impacts all of us. This
Yes.
impacts people all over, families all over the world. Every Barbadian, even you had a living overseas, you're concerned about what's happening here, about the drinking water. You have people here that you care about, and you will not want them drinking sewage water. And for the government to allow something as scandalous as this to play out, this is something that should be featured in the international media, right? Right? But again, we are spoken at instead of being spoken to. So I am assuming or hoping that there will be some clarification of this from the persons we elected, because people need to be held responsible for this. We need to know who gave the approval for these things to be happening.
Hmm. But that's what you
Right?
call transparency and accountability.
We
Uh,
go
we
ahead, Calvin.
okay. We have elected um, a majority of morons. All might not be, but the majority of them are. Because that is why they had to devise this system where you're talking about you bringing civil servants into the well of parliament to come and speak to the people. That is the you are elected. You are supposed to answer the parliament for the money that the parliament gave your department. No civil servant was ever elected anywhere. And up to this year, last year, they were saying that civil servants couldn't run. So those civil servants um could have won the parliament. That is not your job. A civil servant is there to advise the minister. So if the minister is asked a question in the house, he is supposed to then like get the civil servant to pass the knowledge so he can answer. It is not their job at law. People like to go in the house and show off and put on their nice wigs and then you just their
But
church clothes.
but Castle, those are changes recommended in the Public Financial Management Act by the IMF.
Right? You see, but that is not our system of government. We elect MPs to do that. So the same way you expect the people that we elect to come and answer these things, to send other idiots. I mean other players. I gotta be careful my words. And they come to brass tacks. No, we never elected Chapman or whoever else, or Mwanza or anybody like that. That they should have sent the people who was responsible, the people who come up with the law, the people who come responsible. Because if you pass a law, you should know what the law is all about.
Yeah.
Prayer tell
Well,
me that you pass a law and don't know what the law says. That's why I call them morons. I will never forget Monique Tate. We were in the Senate, and a bill came up from the House, passed in the House. And Monique said, "Wait, but you realize that when I finish this thing mid-sentence, nobody downstairs didn't see it. They better finish the sentence. So if they don't know what they're passing, you think they can know how to come and explain it to the public? That is the problem. We have elected a majority of morons, and they have to pass their work to other people to answer for them. And Kadir, when you ask, I didn't listen to the program today because I was way too busy. I tell you, I only saw my email asking for your number tonight since this program started. And if we have to bring people like that, who does not know what potable water is, to represent them, Kadir, you don't know how badly served this country is. We have senior civil servants who are imbeciles and elected officials who are morons.
this guy was on he was on the COVID czar.
Yeah, he was the COVID czar. He's also the CEO of Arcon thing too that treat people houses and stuff during the work and then when he's supposed to be at work. So he's a lot of things.
Ecom.
It's a pest control place called Arcon or something like that.
Oh, right.
You know,
Yeah. But I found it strange that and there as a deputy, he was the deputy chief environmental officer and the technical advisor to BWA and the chief meteorology and hydrology. I was confused as to why I was asking questions of the elected officials, but then I could be in a debate with three highly technical persons in their fields, and they're asking me to say that I accept and agree to the explanation that Mwanza gave for the process that already occurs with water coming from flushing for toilets into the aquifers. Right? I cannot believe it. I almost feel like I was in a video game where they were sitting down in the simulation. We were all in the TV, and their politician friends were in the back with the remote control, pressing the buttons, telling them what to say, what not to say, and say this and what not to say. Because I could not believe for the life of me that was a adequate explanation to the issues that we as a group would have raised. I asked them about this black water. Nobody explained to me that was black water. I
You sure
asked them.
you're not talking about? You sure you're not talking about the mercenary group, right? You know they got a mercenary group called Blackwater. with 160,000 plus mercenaries in the Blackwater mercenary group led by a former Navy SEAL. So I hope you ain't talking about that one, boy.
Well, they also call um Guinness. They call Guinness Blackwater as well, right? I worked in the hotel, so I know about the serving and yeah, so they call it Blackwater. But I'm saying that I asked them about the point Caswell raised, which is the Act, the Water Reuse Act 2023. No explanation. They sought to tell me that we are already drinking the sewage and that the quality of water that we are getting right now will be magically better. It'll be 10 times better if we allow them to feed us sewage water. What does that sound like to you? Right?
Shit.
I mean, I cannot believe it. I cannot believe my ears. Right? But then again, I saw a lot of this happening during COVID. Some of the things that the COVID czar was doing during COVID, I cannot. They brought so many laws to disadvantage the people in this country, right? But we saw it then. So I am surprised. I'm taken back. I will not lie. I will not lie. I am taken back to find out that this was happening, right? Because in my right mind, I like to drink the water. I like a cold glass of water. And lately, every time I look at the pipe, I pour water in it. I look in the water and I wonder if anything there, and I can't get the water to drink.
I know.
Right?
I know what you're talking about, man.
I used sending them out, and the minister that we called out, he's sitting there on the back and sending a WhatsApp message to David Ellis to get David Ellis to read out a WhatsApp message before he comes on the program. But they send out Mawanza to tell untruths to the people of Barbados. Right, but the people of Barbados find them out today, though. We found them out today. So we found out that he told lies about the European Investment Bank and not getting any assistance from them. I published the evidence. I also published the evidence when he spoke about that $210 million that he wanted to build the plant. And the man said that I didn't know where he was getting my figures from. And those were his words, right? Go
Well,
back. Go back to the Prime Minister. She first said no such discussions happen. Kimar Short didn't know what he was talking about. But it's clearly no we see who don't know who what was talking about. We are saying I just don't know what to call this. I am at my ends with. I can't take anymore whatsoever. I don't know about anybody else. But I think we need a new election in Barbados. I don't think we could go any further with this law. This is treasonous. And
Well then,
every one of them should go.
well then we need 30 excellent independent candidates. I see two on my screen.
Heather coming back?
Make that three because I wanted to see if Heather was going to come back in. Um,
Because, as I told you, right, I have no interest in elective politics. Right now, I was a trade unionist for a long time. I worked at trade unions, and I got fired 3 times from the same trade union. And I find myself back into trade unionism. I suspect this is what the Lord wants me to work. And I tell people when they ask me about that, I say I'm not leaving trade unionism again because I might end up like Jonah in a real gut because I disobeying where I'm being sent. So I think that's my role. But I can walk and chew gum at the same time. So I will stand up and I will speak out against what the government is doing if they are doing wrong. I don't have to get up and speak up when they're doing right because they got all kind of people can say it for them. That is not my job. I'm not here to praise them. I am here to point out when they're going wrong because nobody else will on their side, and I think this it should be balanced, and I try to give balance. But I'm not doing it because I want to end up in the House of Assembly. That is not, um, I tell people I'm 65 years old now, and the only career you should start at 65 is pensioner. I
Well,
I
that's for
so
you, but I could start. I could start a different career. Boy, I see a fellow went to university at 78 years old and come up with a degree and start a new job. So I
well,
think,
for me, my position is if I
uh,
want to start a new career, it would be pensioner, and I think I can even get my pension now, but I will get it reduced by 6% for each year, and that would be 2 years. I don't want to lose that amount of money,
yeah.
so I will do it for a while. I'll be at 67, God willing, or I will take my chances whether I'll get it or not. But I don't. I am doing this because I believe that the people who actually have the jobs are not doing it well. I saw the minister on the same minister Abraham talking about the prisons, and I know what he's saying is nonsense. I have all the facts, some of which I cannot disclose to you here because it would be national security interest. And he, to my mind, was on really breaching national security. But I will say no more on that. But I don't want his job. I just want somebody else to have his job because he's not doing it. I want somebody else to have Miss Martley's job because she doesn't even know what her job description is. And that could go along through the whole 30 of them. 30 plus
Mhm,
because there's some in the
mhm.
Senate too. You know,
Well, we've had a lot of things happen. I mean, somebody sent me um, something to do with the appointment of Gaynell Marshall, new communications consultant with the Ministry of Education, who I understand from the information was extremely insultive of teachers. Um, Back 20 months, February the 19th, 2022, on Loop News in New Barbados, told teachers were told on that morning show uh, on what drives me crazy or however styled. And now that individual is the consultant for the Ministry of Education. The
but
other
Freddie,
thing
I
quickly,
saw that too. I thought it was a joke. Somebody sent.
yeah,
I thought it was a joke. I'll tell you why. Each
I
ministry
wish it was.
has a public relations officer assigned from GIS. Then the Prime Minister turn around and form a Department of Public Affairs, which is the second GIS. And you still want consultants? No, this is a job for one of the boys or one of the girls or whatever she is. This is this.
Yeah.
The ministry don't need all of this. You got. So what are you gonna do? Make the GIS redundant and bring consultants? Because we are not paying three people to do one job. That's
I
what's
tell
happening.
Yep, that's right. That's
Three
right.
people because the GIS still has an officer responsible for education.
That's what the IMF should be looking at. The IMF should be looking at making them cut back all them jobs. But
Look,
quickly
look,
on
look at
another
all the
thing,
consultants. This prime minister has more consultants and personal staff than all the other prime ministers combined. You want
real
to know
quick,
why? She's incompetent, doesn't know what to do. She's got to fight about to do it.
really quickly. Not that we will touch on it because our time is gone, but we didn't get a chance to touch on it tonight. But learned that someone who has a 2 acre of land in St. Philip where they live has had his land tax recategorized from agricultural to commercial, resulting in an increase of approximately $450 annually to approximately $4,500 with no warnings and explanations. This is coming in from the Land Tax Department concerning someone whose land was originally agricultural and is now being reclassified as commercial and has caused that increase. And apparently, he has queried it, but no change, no move where that is concerned.
Oh,
This is what we are dealing
this
with.
This is Stanford because I got a lot of people from there
Um,
contacting me this morning.
I don't know if it's Sanford, but I will send you, I will forward it to you with the person's name, but I wouldn't call the person's name on the platform here. But I can forward this to you.
I'll be grateful because some,
Yeah.
mind you, what they have done, they have actually, if you have um, three houses in a row, the Lord one in the middle, the two at the other, two at the end, gone up. So it is. I spoke about that already. It is not unheard of. It's not new. And there's one case where a guy was going through a divorce. His property is worth about more over $2 million, but he has to pay out his wife. So next, miraculously, his value of his property sank. So now what will happen? The wife will get far less than what the property is worth. Eventually, it will go back up when they change it wrong, and then he will be able to have his thing. This is the corruption in the system that we are seeing about. I want the people
Yes.
who get their bills go up because a lot of people at Bra themselves have theirs reduced. Your next door neighbor and get his reduced, but you get yours reduced. And people going through divorce, and next thing you know, his land come down. You got to pay somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And now the
Mm-hmm.
wife now will get, let's be probably is $2 million, and she would have been entitled to half. She would have got $1 million. But no, it's $1 million, so she get $500,000.
Wow.
That is what is
Well,
happening in Barbados, and nobody doing anything about it.
yeah. I think it's really a position where Barbadians need to stand up, get up. You remember that caption? I don't have the time to go to it, but that little caption that had the playing board on the backs of
Mm-hmm.
the citizens and these politicians are sitting around. And the caption says that the politicians can play the game until the people stand up. And that's what we want to say to you tonight. You are the people's opposition. And I said that, there's a reason that um, you were elected, not yourself. I'm talking about all of us, a part of this people's opposition. There was a reason we were elected by the people to be the people's opposition, and we are going to continue on it. Don't. I don't know. I don't know. I sent it on. ISIS King. I sent it on to Caswell, and I'm sure that he will make contact with the person because someone is saying that some of these things need to be challenged in the court of law. I don't know how successful we'll be there because everybody is in bed together. Anyhow, just want to remind you, we want to be give thanks again for the landmark nurses for nurseries, for the beautiful palms that we have at the Parliament there in Westburn Mall. We want to thank again the management of Westburn Mall for facilitating the Parliament there. We want to remind you of donations. Someone has suggested that we make facility on the website, and I believe that Marcy will be engaging that on the website for you to be able to do that on the website, and where we can receive donations from you to help with the different, because we do want to do what Caswell said suggested, is that we build our base at Westburn, just like the Labour Party built their base at, well, I think the move to Bay Street now, Caswell, they used to be at Ninth Street Car
Mm-hmm.
Park. But I think the move to Bay Street, I don't know if they'll have the next one at Bay Street, but I know the Ninth Street Car Park used to be the final stomping ground of the Barbados Labour Party. Independence Square, I think, was the one for the Democratic Labour Party.
Yeah.
But we will consolidate at the Westburn Mall for now, but a number of other locations have been suggested that we are giving consideration to. Marcia asks that we just indicate that there will be a pause. Now, I don't know, this could change. I'm just communicating from the Marcia Week show what I've been informed, and that is that there's going to be a bit of a pause on the marches because we want to begin to look at some planning matters. We want to begin to look at planning meetings and get those of you here that are joining us on a night and can join us literally face to face. We want to be able to develop some working groups that will deal with things like education, the child protection bill, that will deal with economy, Kimar, that will deal with the youth. I think Kimar has an upcoming show you don't want to miss. Kimar has an upcoming show on, is it Wednesday, Kimar?
Wednesday.
Wednesday is going to be a very special show with youth. It's going to be a show focusing on youth. And I'm looking forward. I don't know I will be on it. I will try to be, but I can be there. I'm just going to be there to sit in. I'm not supposed to be saying anything, Kimar. That's going to be your show. All right. So we're going to be looking forward to that. If you wish to, I think the number is what again, Heather? 23 what? We're not hearing you. Not hearing you. 23. Is it 2367,000? Let me see if I can
Yes.
get it.
Yeah.
Two two
Yes.
three
Three,
six seven
six,
thousand.
seven
Right.
thousand.
Right.
Yes.
If you want to contribute anything to what we put up tonight in terms of the deficit, I think it's $130 deficit for the event that was held on Sunday, and $2,500 I think for the upcoming March. If you want to be able to contribute in any way to that, 2367,000, you can give them a call at that number, and I think that's going to be the number. But we'll see how that goes. All right.
No, no. What
So,
also, Freddie, because what happens,
yep.
the people always also contribute at my office if it's more convenient for them.
Yes,
Most of
yes.
the time I'm not there, but my assistant will
Give us
receive
that
and give
address.
you a
Give us that
receipt.
address. Give us
It's
that
it's
address.
number 5, 6th Avenue, Belleville.
Number 5. You're putting that in then,
6th
Heather.
Avenue,
Yes.
Belleville.
Number
Yes.
5, 6th Avenue, Belleville. So if you want to be able to, and you've been
It's a
pleased with
Unity
what
Workers Union.
Unity Workers Union, right? If you've been pleased with what we've been trying to do, we are not here to create problems for anybody. We are here simply to require transparency and accountability. To this day, um, Caswell is still awaiting the transparency for the $300 million loan for the airport. He's still awaiting terms and conditions for that.
No, they were sending that to me the day of Sandy first funeral. I was supposed to get it.
You were supposed to get
Supposed
it.
to get it later that day.
Yeah. You
And I
have it
get
yet?
yet. No.
Okay. Well, don't forget, maybe they're like the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years and 1,000 years like a day. I don't know. But anyhow, so we want to thank you so very much for being with us tonight. There's so much you have placed in the chat. We've seen everything: agreements, disagreements, recommendations, suggestions, challenges. You see, this is what it's all about. You have to be able to have freedom of expression. This is what is being attempted to be stifled in our world today. And we want to fight for those freedoms, Heather? We want to fight for them
Yes.
in Barbados and in the United States. The woke mentality has gone ballistic in the United States, and we are not going to entertain that in Barbados.
Before we go, I just had a question. The minister had said that the aquifers will be replenished using sewage water. And he did not say, this is Ryan Strong, he did not say that has been, he said will be replenished. And yet Abram said that it has started already, that you're already drinking sewage water. So I don't know who is right or who is wrong. And I also want to know if tests have been carried out to determine that the aquifers are already contaminated based on what Abrams says, and that is why they're expanding the zoning areas. I would love to know.
Heather,
Mhm.
yes, you are correct about the fact that about the fact that they carried out tests in 2019, and somebody put out a WhatsApp note alerting the public to the fact that there was E. coli found in the water, the drinking water, right? So Abrams then came out in the paper and tried to deny it. But how could there be E. coli found in the water if you were not pumping sewage in it? So they had been pumping sewage in it that time. And when the tests were done, somebody spilled the beans, and they rushed out and tried to do a cleanup job through him by saying that there was no E. coli in the water. And that was since November 2019, right? So in 2020, he then came back and said that we were already drinking water from the toilet. But in around April 2018, before the government changed, they were now in discussions with the Europeans about the water rehabilitation project in Barbados to rehabilitate the water network by building desalination plants, repairing all of the mains, the different pipe mains, all the different pipes, and capturing more rainfall water. Those were the three things that the loans were focused on. The loan also they say that the bank is willing to provide loans to the government if they want to pursue the same type of treatment plan, right? But then the government changed the next couple of days, but no active plans were in place that time in terms of putting the sewage in the water. But by 2019 November, Abrams was in the paper denying that there was E. coli in the water. So that is something to think about.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Well, we've come to the end of another program. Thank you all so very much. Heather,
Ooh,
oh my goodness,
thank you.
how can we make it without you, Caswell, you and Kimar continue to educate us, and we thank you so very much, and we look forward to the next show that we do. I'm looking forward to the show on Wednesday with you, Kimar, and the youth. And then, of course, on Friday, I think we'll be looking at some matters of education and maybe some other things as they come up. And we have to address them. But we want to thank all of you. So many comments that we've had, over 400 persons viewing here tonight. I'm told over 4,000 viewing the Parliament last night. That was is absolutely incredible. And we want to really thank all of you. Thank you, Kimar. Thank you, Caswell. We want to thank Marcia as well for entrusting myself. I mean, uh, Heather's been here. Heather is the guide that I have when I host the show on Mondays. I'm always looking and depending on Heather for the guide. But thank you, Marcia. We all want to thank Marcia for the opportunity of being able to share on her show. Thank you all. Great
Have a
having
good
all of you
night.
here. Have a great night. God bless
Have a good
you.
night. God bless.
Good night.
God
Bye bye.
bless. Bye bye.